scene there. If you see something that we should know about, be sure to give us a call at 475-1080. Traffic, Highway 1 at 41st Avenue is indeed stop and go. This is in the southbound direction. 101 slow moving as well through Coyote Valley and into Morgan Hill. Back over here in Monterey County, northbound Highway 1 heading into Seaside doing about 20 miles per hour. Both directions of Highway 1 near Salinas Road and Moss Landing, 10 miles per hour. Your weather forecast for tonight, mostly clear conditions are expected. Lows should be around 50 degrees. Tomorrow should be sunny with highs around 76 degrees. Small craft advisory out on the Monterey Bay this evening, as well as west winds 15 to 25 knots, becoming east 10 knots after midnight. Wind waves 3 to 4 feet, becoming 2 feet or less, and west swells 5 to 7 feet at 9 seconds. 72 degrees outside KSCO Studios. The time is now 4:11. Phil Deseth is ready to go. He's got your local headlines. You can catch up with those at ksco.com 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. News, traffic, weather, podcasts, and more. It's all right there at ksco.com. Time for news. Take it away, Phil.
Thanks, Dave, and good afternoon, Central Coast. The Watsonville police held a press conference earlier today on the arrest of a Santa Cruz neurosurgeon and 2 nurses. Police Chief David Honda spoke about what prompted the investigation.
Information and video that showed several adults engaging in lewd acts with children as young as 3 years old. We immediately launched a full criminal investigation. Suspect Rochelle Brandon was quickly identified within several hours and was arrested at her home in the city of Watsonville. Second suspect was identified as Emily Stevens. Suspect Stevens was arrested in the state of Arizona. Detectives identified a third suspect, James Kohut. They established probable cause to arrest suspect Kohut, and in the early morning hours of Sunday, May 14th, detectives arrested Kohut at his house in Santa Cruz, California.
7 children in Arizona and California have been taken into protective custody. A man was arrested in a stolen vehicle on Tuesday. Santa Cruz police received a report of a stolen vehicle at 7:38 a.m. on the 1100 block of Pacific Avenue. About an hour later, officers spotted the vehicle on River Street. The driver, 42-year-old Philip Penn of Santa Cruz, was arrested for auto theft. Police say auto theft is on the rise and encourage the public to use the following tips. Never leave your car running and unattended, or leave the keys in your vehicle. Never hide a spare key to your vehicle inside the car, and park in a well-lit, highly visible area. And multiple traffic officers have teamed up with Scotts Valley Police in an effort to reduce aggressive driving. Beginning today, the SVPD will be hosting Badges, a countywide program targeting aggressive drivers in designated areas. All cell phone, seatbelt, and speeding violations will be strictly enforced. And previously unexploded ordnance was exploded today on a weapons raid in the former Fort Ord. Susan Simon has the details.
The blast reportedly caused 3 large clouds of smoke. The munitions were gathered as part of the base cleanup that has been going on the National Monument for years now. For KSCO, this is Susan Simon.
And a man was arrested for shooting into an occupied residence and for burglary yesterday in Watsonville, TV Avila reports.
The first incident took place around 12:20 p.m. on the 100 block of Clifford Avenue. Witnesses reported that several shots were fired into their home. A few hours later, a resident reported a burglary a few houses away from the shooting. The suspect, 22-year-old Andre Lopez, was arrested after officers located evidence linking him to the shooting and burglaries. This is Tavia Avila for KSCO Radio News.
And a bill was approved a few days ago by the Senate Public Safety Committee that could, if signed into law, protect immigrants from the irrelevant disclosure of their immigration status. State Senator Scott Wiener explained that SB 785 is so important right now.
We know that ICE is in our courthouses. Jeff Sessions told us that they are in our courthouses. And so if I were an undocumented immigrant, a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime, and I was asked to go testify, I'd have to think twice about it because I wouldn't want to get deported. And so we don't want people to have to make that choice, and we want them to feel safe, and that's what SB 785 is about.
To establish admissibility, an attorney would have to persuade a judge before raising the issue in open court. It's 4:15. Time to get back to Dave Michaels and Phil Deseth for KSCO Radio.
Hi, folks. It's Jim Peterson with Solar for America by Peterson Dean. Look, it's the May Day giveaway at Solar for America by Peterson Dean. Look, bundle a roof, a battery, fencing, or solar. Any of the two, and take 10% off the total material price. That's insane. Materials are 50% of the cost of the total project, and we're taking 10% off the material cost during the month of May. Can't be combined with any other offer. This is the May Day giveaway at Solar for America by Peterson Dean. When May ends, so does my deal. And this is an unheard of deal to get solar power, a roof, a battery, or fences. And look, solar power is going to reduce your electric bill. And with the tax credits and all the incentives that we offer here at Solar for America, you're going to be in the money. 888-981-7563. 888-981-7563. Again, 888-981-7563. 888-981-7563. It's the May Days giveaway at Solar for America by Peterson Dean. Call now. CSLB 468-117.
Coming up this Sunday at 2 p.m. on Planet Watch, why are Americans so divided on their views about climate change? Researcher Connie Rosser-Reynoff has identified 6 different, very divergent beliefs which prompt unique responses. That's Planet Watch, 2 p.m. Sunday on KSCO AM 1080, sponsored by Day One Solar, your locally owned solar energy installer. Call 831-687-8097 or visit dayonesolar.com.
Has anybody told you about Coast to Coast AM tonight?
Shapeshifters, giants, and the robot apocalypse. I'm George Norrie, and Steve Quayle joins us on our next program as we talk about all these secrets, followed, of course, by Underground Bases with researcher John Rhodes here on Coast to Coast AM.
It's the best in overnight talk radio. Coast to Coast AM.
Listen to Coast tonight, beginning at 10 p.m. on KSCO.
From San Jose to Salinas, Red Hot News Talk, AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz.
Seven 91080. You're listening to Flight 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz. 218-5726 DM at KSCO.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Drea is joining us as well as Ben. We got Ben back. Drea.
Yeah, I'm here.
We got Ben back again.
Ben, thank goodness. Where is he? He's been studious.
He's hiding. There he is. He's here though. Believe me.
I didn't see him. He had his ears lowered.
You know, every time I say "believe me," I feel like
Believe me, I'm telling the truth. You say that too many times,
Donald
you're a
Trump.
liar. Yeah.
Donald Trump always says that.
Yeah.
Believe me.
It's usually an indication that
you shouldn't believe him.
Yeah.
479-1080.
If someone says something too often, I tend to think that way. You know, if you have to say it over and over and over again, there's got to be a reason. Why
Did you
you're
hear
trying to convince me.
Did you hear the last show?
The last yesterday?
Ben, did you catch any of the last show? No, the show that was just playing.
Oh,
The
no, I've been
Costa
running around
report?
like
The
a crazy
Costa
one.
report, yeah.
No. Tell me about it.
I
Did
only
you?
heard, I think, parts of the second hour.
Yeah, so the first hour, her guest, and I don't know who it was, the guest was saying that he believes the earthquakes are caused by the moon and the tidal forces that the moon puts on
The
the
only reason
earth.
for earthquakes?
No, he says it's a huge reason, and he has statistics. I mean, I'm not the guy who's saying it. He is.
Uh-huh.
And I thought it sounded weird because, the Costa report is usually like science.
Yeah, well,
Not
she is
mysticism.
a-
I mean, what are we, dragons? I mean, what's next?
She is a
Vampires?
scientist, after all.
Yes.
Well,
I mean, does that sound crazy or what,
if
Drea?
he was on the Costa report,
right, I know.
he probably has a point.
I know, and then he was
I
saying...
always thought that the moon just affected, like, tides and stuff.
Yeah, he was saying that
It
if
affects all sorts of things.
You know,
affects plants, affects our bodies because we have lots of waters in us and stuff like that. Yeah.
Really?
yeah,
So, like, surfs
Yeah,
up in your body, dude?
Well, if we feel the draw. It does have effects on people.
You know that tidal force or whatever it is also pushes the moon away, because I was doing some research here, and the moon is getting pushed away at about 1.5 inches per year.
Does that mean that it affects people who are very hydrated more?
Who knows? That's a good question.
know.
Maybe.
Like
'Cause
really
it
fat
affects-
people? They're probably really
they full of water?
pulled back and forth. Yeah, I think so.
Pulled back and forth.
Yeah.
If that's what the moon does to people, I didn't realize that.
He was saying that the moon and fracking are two big major contributors to
Well,
earthquakes.
fracking makes a lot
he
of
was
sense.
predicting.
If you look at Oklahoma, they've had so many earthquakes, and they did not used to have
He
so
was
many
saying that
earthquakes.
fracking definitely is a big cause of earthquakes. If you live in New York, there's no reason to worry about it. But here in California, you might not want to allow fracking, and I think we should ban the moon too while we're at it.
Ban the moon?
Right?
I was
'Cause I don't
gonna
want an
say-
earthquake. He was saying we're looking at 20 months before the next big quake, and I don't like that.
Well, that's what people here in California have been saying for years now, is that the next big earthquake is just right around the corner.
But he's saying 20 months. I mean, he's actually like putting a pretty
what is
small
he,
window
Nostradamus?
on it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I thought it was interesting, scary,
now
and a little awkward for the Costa report.
fracking, shooting highly pressurized water into the ground, that sort of makes sense that would cause some sort of effect with earthquakes. The moon, though, that doesn't make as much sense, to me at least.
I don't know, dude. I guess you could listen to the Costa report.
I don't know.
just
Was
go to
was
CBS Radio.
talking about magma being drawn or just water? I don't even
No,
know.
it was. I don't know.
You're
I mean,
making me
could the
wanna
moon
go
cause
find-
volcanoes then?
And so look, and so the moon, the same force that's exerted during these earthquakes is the same force that pushes the moon out 1.5 inches every year,
It's a gravitational
Oh.
pull.
and it also happens to slow the Earth's rotation.
Oh, so it's not the moon that's causing the earthquakes, but the same force that causes the
And
earthquakes also affects the moon?
He says the moon, though.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
something has to be pulling. I don't get it, dude.
So
I mean,
I'm
you should listen to the
seeing-
Costa
I
report.
put
I just
in-
thought it was weird.
In Google, I
Uh-huh.
put in moon and earthquakes, and I got a bunch of articles from The Atlantic, from Nature, from Washington Post. I'll see
Really?
more evidence that the moon contributes to earthquakes. Moon's pull can trigger big earthquakes. That's from Nature
Wow.
News and Comment.
Yeah,
From the Washington
believe it.
Post, it's
Fake news.
major
It's fake news.
earthquakes might be caused by the moon.
Drea, those are all fake news sources. I'll have you know.
Lordy. Independent.co.uk, the moon might cause earthquakes on Earth. That's at least conditional tense. Can you live with that?
We can live with that.
All right.
We can live with that.
That one might be fake
This
news.
is from
4719.
September 13, 2016.
Drea,
Yes,
how
dear.
do you get to work? Do you take Portola? Which way?
17th.
17th.
17th of Portola.
Did you have to drive through those big swarms of whatever the hell they are? Are those mosquitoes?
Oh,
What
those
are
little
they?
fly. We have a bunch in the parking lot.
Yeah, what are they? No, but they're not just in the parking lot. I mean, they're all up and down Portola Road. So as you're driving the car now, you're driving through these massive swarms of
bugs.
Of bugs.
Little
I
bugs.
guess they're gnats.
They look. Yes.
I hope they're not
the
gnats.
kind you get when you get that extra protein riding your bike.
Right. Ben, I almost hope
gnats.
they're mosquitoes because if they're gnats, you know what they're doing?
You don't want mosquitoes.
They're getting nasty.
They're getting nasty.
Yeah, those are some nasty
So,
gnats out
so
there.
if those are gnats, they're getting nasty. They're getting nasty out there.
They're
And so if you're driving through those
Nazi.
clouds, that's what they're doing. They're doing that, and then you're driving through their.
Oh my gosh.
know. And then,
you're
Ben,
in the middle of their business.
I'm
Holy
wondering,
moly.
is it possible that that you could go through a swarm that's so thick that you could die? I mean, can you inhale them and choke on that? Because I would think that.
Well, if you're allergic to gnats, that could cause it.
Well, those clouds are so thick.
A
I mean,
shock.
you could even hear the clouds hitting the car as you drive through them, and you could hear it. And when's the last time you heard a car hit a gnat? That's how thick these swarms are.
Huh.
Yeah. And then, I see people walking down there, and they're trying to run away from these swarms, and you can see these swarms. I mean, these are huge swarms up and down the street.
You're reminding me of Hitchcock's The Birds.
It's really
They're
weird.
coming for us.
Hitchcock's The Gnats.
Yeah, the gnats.
Or something out of the Bible. Maybe something out of the Bible.
Oh, you mean
like a locust
locusts?
swarm?
Yes, like a locust
swarm, but they're gnats.
No,
they're nasty gnats.
I think this is just nature, and it's the time of year for those
I
gnats.
I wish they'd go somewhere else.
Natural,
go get a room
gnats.
or something.
That's what they are.
That's what they should do. Go get a room. That's disgusting.
Where should they go?
I gotta
Motel
move.
6?
I got a new shipment of BTT.
Dave's moving all this stuff around. He's about to knock things on the floor.
Hey, you knocked my pumpkin off.
See?
All right.
Wait,
now I
wait.
can see you.
I'm confused. You're still getting shipments here? I thought the Dave Cave was shutting down.
It is shutting down, but I still have my orders to fulfill, and I've got a 6-pack of BTT right here. This is a 2.0 version. Oh, and then Jim ordered some Healthy Start packs, and I've got his stuff in as well.
So, Jim, your stuff's here.
Yes, Jim, your stuff's here. I
Jim,
just left him a
Jim.
message, but hopefully he doesn't call me because I'm on the air. I'll turn it on mute just in case.
He could
Okay,
call
so
you.
are we done?
What's he going to call you?
That's good. Badges.
Oh,
Is that the name of an adorable pet? Badges? Is that the name of, what do you think this is?
Badges
Ben?
the Badger. That'd be cute.
That would be a cute. What do you think Badges is?
I think it's Band-Aids are dangerous, generally effective, something. I don't know.
You're on a roll there.
That was pretty good.
It also
Thank
stands
you.
for Before Aggressive Drivers Get Everyone Stopped. This is a way to put a cute name on a terrible. I shouldn't say terrible.
It's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
Well, I think the program itself's probably pretty good.
Yeah, it's a countywide program which targets aggressive drivers. Badges stands for Before Aggressive Drivers Gets Everyone Stopped. Pretty clever. And by the way, if you check the story out on our Facebook page and you see the CHP there, and he's got his laser gun out and he's shooting people with his laser gun. And if you look real closely, that driveway that he's in is KSCO Studios.
Yeah, it looked a little familiar.
Now, do we know, Ben, do you know if it's legal for an officer to post up on your property and bust people? I mean, I love the CHP, and I love
private property.
I love our law enforcement officers, but if I saw a law enforcement officer posting up on my property to give out my fellow citizens speeding tickets, I would not be happy about that.
Yeah, I guess if they're on private property, wouldn't they need like a permit to be there?
Or permission,
I would think so.
Or
permission, I would assume.
479-1080, if you happen to know that answer.
Holy moly, I'm looking at our Facebook page. That's a big cat.
DM at
Or,
K.
I guess maybe they need a warrant. That's what I'm thinking of.
Goodness.
That cat is a Maine Coon cat, and it only eats kangaroo meat. Raw kangaroo
how bizarre
meat.
is that?
How bizarre. How bizarre.
That cat's name is...
Sorry, I know I switched subjects, but I was just going through our feed, and that is one huge cat.
I know. That's why people should go to our Facebook page.
Biggest
there's all
cat
kind of...
in the world eats raw kangaroo.
He's 3 feet 11 inches long. He's almost 4 feet long.
It's almost as tall as you, Dave.
14 kilos,
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Ben.
This is British. 2 stones, 3 pounds.
I think she's
Do you know
in
what stones are?
No.
Stones are 12 pounds. I couldn't
Are they
stand it.
really?
Oh, I think I lost a stone. Did you lose a stone? And that means that's
Like
a unit
gallstones?
of weight, and I think it's 12 pounds.
Wow.
And they actually talk. They use those terms. They use the term stone. They say I lost a stone, and then I would have to figure out what the heck that means. How many stones did you lose?
12 pounds. All right.
I think so.
Whatever. That would make
14
sense.
kilos times 2.2. That's pounds.
That cat Omar is 31 pounds, 4 feet long, and he eats only raw kangaroo meat. It's the only meat that he wants to eat. So the owners feed him raw
kangaroo meat,
Yeah.
but not a whole kangaroo.
No.
I was under the impression like that python that ate that guy, that the cat just ate a whole kangaroo.
I guess that is a real cat.
It's huge. It's
I thought
orange.
it was like Photoshop.
It's an orange cat. It's one of those orange and white ones. Very fluffy and very big.
Very big. Very big. Let's see.
Very
who answered the
big.
phone? Is that you? Drea?
No,
Ben?
actually, Ben managed to get the phone.
Who's on line 1, Ben?
Tom in Monterey.
Tom in Monterey. Thank you for your call, Tom. You're in the air.
Oiga, señor, we are in federales, you know, the mountain police. If you're the police, where are your badges? Badges? We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
And then that's when they get shot. Yeah, that's
That's
from
the movie.
Sierra Madre, right? Isn't that where that's from? Isn't that?
I don't know. I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, the treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Oh, it's 30.8 pounds. That's a 30.8 pound cat.
Wow.
Almost
That's
31
not that
pounds
big.
of cat. For a cat?
A 3-pound cat? Or
30.
a 3-foot cat?
30.
3-foot cat?
4 feet.
4 feet?
Yeah, 3 feet 11 inches.
It is almost as tall as you.
I'm gonna go cry.
Oh.
We're gonna go to CBS News, then we'll cover the local the other stuff.
With Ben still here once you're done with him.
Right.
You're
KSEO Santa
gonna
Cruz.
Kick him in the shins.
479-1080, 218-5726. We're gonna break for CBS News. Keep it tuned in. Flight 1080 will be right back.
CBS News Update. President Trump addressed a series of controversies during a news conference with the president of Colombia today. CBS's Stephen Portnoy has more.
The president flatly denied asking James Comey to shut down the Flynn investigation. It's a claim the former FBI director reportedly documented in contemporaneous memos. Mr. Trump said the Russia probe has been a witch hunt, and he said the appointment of a special counsel is dividing the country. He insisted there was no collusion. Zero, he said, between his campaign and Russia.
South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said the president should let the special counsel investigation move forward and concentrate on the GOP legislative agenda.
The president may not have liked this decision. It was made. I had questions about it. I honor it. You couldn't have picked a better man to do the job.
Mr. Trump said he was close to choosing an FBI director to replace James Comey, who was fired last week. CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
You're listening to AM 1080 KSEO Santa Cruz. It's 4:32. Here's Phil DeSeth.
Thanks, Dave, and good afternoon, Central Coast. A Santa Cruz neurosurgeon and 2 nurses are accused of raping children younger than 10 years old. Watsonville police reported that 57-year-old James Kohut had affairs with a Dominican hospital ICU nurse, 42-year-old Rochelle Brandon of Watsonville, and a second nurse, 29-year-old Emily Steffens, and that children were abused during their sexual encounters. According to an arrest warrant, Brandon's husband found a tape showing his wife and Steffens committing sex acts together against children. All 3 suspects worked in hospitals. Police found no evidence that any of the crimes occurred in a medical facility. And Friends of Santa Cruz State Parks announced 2 California State Park annual passes are available for purchase on their website. A portion of the proceeds from park passes sales will be used to benefit local state parks and beaches in Santa Cruz County and San Mateo County. The 12-month passes provide entry to dozens of California state parks and beaches. To purchase a pass online and see a list of parks that are included for each pass, go to that'smypark.org. And the winners of the 2017 Congressional Art Competition have been announced. The first place winner is a Carmel High School sophomore, Karina Fife. The second place winner was Gloria by Aheja Rosette, and a junior at San Benito High School. And the third place award went to a junior, Sion Hai Young, a student from Stevenson School in Pebble Beach. Fife's piece will be displayed in the Capitol building in Washington. It's 4:34. Time to get back to Flight 1080. I'm Phil DeSeth for KSEO Radio.
Thank you for that update, Phil. KSEO drive time is now 4:34. Let's see what's happening out there on your roadways. All right. Northbound Highway 1 near Highway 68 just outside of Salinas. CHP reporting a traffic collision at 4:32. Unknown whether or not there are any injuries there. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Northbound 101 near Main Street, also just outside of Salinas. Traffic hazard reported at 4:28. Looks like we have some bins of clothing out there in the fast lane, so be cautious as you're driving out there. Highway 17 southbound speeds from the 85 connector to Los Gatos, averaging about 10 miles per hour. Stop and go traffic here in Santa Cruz as you pass 41st Avenue. That's in the southbound direction. Monterey County northbound traffic heading into Seaside, 10 miles per hour. Slow moving as well heading into Moss Landing, southbound 1. Coyote Valley, 10 miles per hour. Southbound 101 through Gilroy, 10 miles per hour as well. 475-1080 with your traffic reports. Your weather forecast for tonight. Mostly clear conditions are expected with lows around 50 degrees. Tomorrow should be sunny with highs in the mid-70s. Your boaters forecast for tonight includes a small craft advisory. West winds 15 to 25 knots, becoming east 10 knots after midnight. Wind waves 3 to 4 feet, becoming 2 feet or less, and west swells 5 to 7 feet at 9 seconds.
Hi, registered pharmacist Ben Fuchs here. I've been studying healthy bodies for 35 years, and what I've got to tell you may shock and surprise you, but if you listen up, it may change your life. If you watch any TV these days, it's nearly impossible to avoid the ubiquitous commercials for prescription medicine. One of the most important questions we need to ask ourselves when we're watching is, what are the promoters of these pieces trying to accomplish? Whose health are they trying to improve, ours or their bottom lines? Recently, I saw one of these ads that I found particularly problematic. It was for a testosterone product that is supposed to treat something called low T, or low testosterone, where the manly hero explains the condition has nothing to do with us, it's just a number. And all you have to do to address this distressing dilemma is get a prescription and raise the number. The problem is, low T is not just about a number. It's about our bodies, and it's a sign that something is wrong, and it has everything to do with us. What's worse, all drugs has side effects. According to Morgan & Morgan, a law firm that is seeking victims for potential compensation for adverse reactions, these unpleasant toxicity symptoms include strokes, heart attacks, blood clots, and pulmonary embolisms. By making better choices, we can take care of our hormones on our own. Some proven testosterone-boosting techniques include lifting weights, eating high-protein foods, breathing deeply, supplementing daily, and getting enough sunshine and sleep. As always, when it comes to our health, our best bet is to take care of ourselves and always take commercials for pharmaceuticals with a grain or two of salt. Pharmacist Ben here, urging you to go to kscohealth.com to order Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Start Pack, and other nutritional supplements that I personally use and recommend. You can purchase these premium quality products at wholesale prices online at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com. I'm the pharmacist that believes that staying healthy and strong is not only about medicine, it's about giving your body the raw materials it needs to do its work. Go to kscohealth.com. Make sure you check out the cool videos, too, at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com.
You're listening to KSCO, serving Big Sur, Felton, and Carmel Valley Village.
Four 479-1080. You're listening to Flight 1080, KSCO, Santa Cruz. Drea's joining us.
Yeah.
And us is Ben Picard and me. Did I say that right?
Ben Picard and me, yes. Joining. Yes. I'm joining us. Us is dative, is indirect object. Joining me, joining whom, blah, blah, blah. Grammar lesson over.
479-1080. It's Thursday, Drea. $5 off any large pizza. Mountain Mike's, 3715 Portola Drive, Ben. Their phone number is 477-7760. That's 477-7760. $5 off any
I
large
could go
pizza.
over there. I can't today, but I could go over there, order a pizza, and while I'm waiting, I could take out my Sentinel and just read it.
Oh, yes,
Wouldn't
yes,
that be
yes.
a good idea?
There's plenty of stuff in the Santa Cruz Sentinel.
I bet.
Let's see.
Do you have any cool acronyms in there?
Acronyms like badges, like SNL.
You said you came
like
up with
KFC,
a cool acronym, Ben?
Yeah, it's much better than whatever they had for badges.
All right, let's see.
What you got? What you got?
So this is also badges. Ben, Andrea, and Dave
Oh, he's good.
get extremely silly.
That's
That
pretty
is
good.
Very good.
That's pretty good.
It's
I
either
like
that
that
or
one.
Ben, Andrea, and Dave give everyone Caesars.
Or how about bad acronyms don't give...
See, you got to think about it for a little bit.
I don't know.
So my whole beef with acronyms, and I especially have a beef with this one because it's bad. What is it?
Badges.
It's not as bad as El Chapo.
Was
Before
it
aggressive-
bust all drivers?
No, before.
Before aggressive drivers
yeah.
get everyone stopped.
That's
That's
bad.
really easy flow.
My
Before-
problem with acronyms is I'm a little bit concerned
Mhm.
with the amount of time I believe goes into developing these acronyms.
My old job, we had an intranet, right? So within the corporation where you could look things up on our own platform,
Mhm.
kind of thing, and there was a page for acronyms. But
All of
I'd
your
be
company's acronyms?
damned if the acronym I was looking for was on that stupid thing. It drove me crazy. There was like people would say EOB or they would say COBB. They both mean the same
Cobb.
thing, Cobb. And I looked up Cobb, and I'm just thinking corn, right? Because I don't know what the heck it means. And it's close of business. No, COB, right? Not two B's. Close of business, right? And I'm like, why don't you just call it EOB? Why do we have to call it COB as well as EOB? And blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so yeah, acronym hell, basically.
Yeah, see,
but
I'm-
I find that in the 20 years I was gone overseas, the the amount of acronyms increased. And you're saying
yes, yeah, you have that
I feel that.
hypothesis.
I do.
I think it was the Great Depression because if you look at like the New Deal, basically every government program had its own acronym.
Yeah, I guess my thing is more like.
Oh, we have Patrick here. Dave, Dave stole Patrick's call.
My thing is more like when I left for Germany, it was still called Kentucky Fried Chicken, and now it's
Mhm.
called KFC. Or it was Saturday Night Live, and now everyone calls it SNL. Or it was
You know what?
JCPenney's, and now it's called JCP. So I find that that's changed a lot.
I
but-
do think you have a point, and I think part of that came from the internet and texting.
That's probably
Everyone
true as
started
well.
typing everything out.
Oh, but
They wanted-
grammar is going down a dismal,
goodness, yes.
dismal hill. Ugh. With
What
texting
makes you
and
say that? Now
stuff.
you're talking my language. Why do you say that?
Oh, because people don't know how to spell anymore. People don't use punctuation. And the
Tell me
problem,
about
it's fine if you're texting. The problem is if you actually have to write a sentence and you don't know how.
When would you ever actually
Right.
have to write a sentence?
Oh, honey, you're so young. There are
In
times where you
school?
do have to write a sentence.
In school?
You had to write papers,
Is school
didn't
the
you?
real life?
Yeah, you write reports, you write emails, you write all
most
sorts
of the
things.
papers that I've written were on a computer.
Yeah, that's fine. That doesn't mean you still have to have good grammar. I'm not talking
Yeah,
about
man.
handwriting.
Why-
I'm
why-
talking about
Well,
general
you're talking.
writing.
I was talking about specifically spelling.
Spelling. Yeah, no. Yeah.
When would anyone need good spelling anymore? When is that ever necessary?
It's
You have
always
a point
necessary.
there. Well,
No,
you do.
no.
No, he does have a point there to a certain degree because when I was a kid, we had to learn all this
Oh, my
vocabulary,
goodness.
and vocabulary
Okay.
lists, and I
Nowadays
was
you have
always a
spell
pretty
check.
lousy
No.
speller, but-
See, Ben, dude. Oh my God, Drea. Do you hear what he's saying?
What?
Do you hear what he's saying?
I don't need to.
No. This is Ben. This is part of why mankind is setting itself up to be
humankind.
Humankind. Where we're setting ourselves up to be. To become left behind by our own technology. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. We become so stupid that our technology is smarter than we are, and we don't even know how it got in there in the first place. Like we lose our own ability to write, for example, or
Yeah. I mean,
think certain things, or discover stuff, or do analysis, or do math.
But that's
Right?
just
That's exactly what I was
that-
thinking. You
that
said it much better,
people are ditching their old skills and not picking up any new skills. I would argue that today, if you knew a programming language, that would be much more important than knowing how to spell properly.
What if you were stuck on an island?
Why would you need to spell?
But isn't
Help?
it? Wait,
Don't
hold
you wanna
on,
spell
hold on,
help
hold
on
on,
the
hold on,
beach?
hold on, hold
Then
on.
you- then it-
Question for you. When
was
you're
not a
doing
spell.
the
Wait,
programming,
I have to address this.
what'd you
So if the person's stranded on an island and they misspell help, they go HALP or something like that.
Yeah, play.
You think the plane will fly overhead and go, oh, look at that guy. It looks like he's stranded down there on the island. Maybe he needs our help. No, looks like he spelled help. Okay, never mind. We'll just keep flying.
So
he obviously doesn't need us.
Help, yeah. No. Yeah. Go to school, man. Get yourself an education. But Ben, you took a Java class, or at least parts of Java classes.
I tried, yeah.
Is there spell check when you're doing Java?
Yeah.
Is there something checking your spelling while you're programming when you put in return or enter? And
you don't really use proper words when you do Java.
But hold on, but I'm looking at my little thing. I have this little.
You know, before cell phones became popular, Ben, Drea, I used to be able to remember tons of phone numbers. Now I can't remember any. Right, because I've become so lazy.
Oh yeah, phone numbers definitely.
Right,
yeah.
I used to remember all that stuff, and now I can't even remember my own name sometimes.
That's why I carry my license around with me just in case, so I can look it up.
Yeah.
I had a friend in high school who he grew up in the cell phone age, but he was also incredibly irresponsible. And literally, this guy went through, it must have been like a cell phone a month. He just always lost them. So he had all of his like best friends' numbers memorized. It was amazing to me.
Wow.
Because no one I knew actually knew phone numbers, but this guy knew.
Yeah, I can still whip out 10 numbers that I've known for 20 years or something.
Yeah, back then.
That was just, I literally thought this guy was like Rain Man because he had like 10 7-digit numbers memorized.
When I went to Davis, and in Davis, when I went there, most or almost all the numbers started with 7-5, I think, or 7-4. It didn't matter. So when you got somebody's number, and it was landlines, right? This is pre-cell. You would only get the last 4 numbers and the third number of their so you didn't need the first 2 because they were all these the same. And then you would just write down the last 5 numbers of their number, and you would know because it was always 7 something something.
Yeah, right. It's still with phone numbers.
I grew up, they had 733, 732, 7.
Cell phone numbers don't really work like that, but your local landlines do, right? Like in Watsonville, most numbers start with 72, 728, 724.
I don't know if it's still that way, but yeah, where I grew up, it was then it was 733, 732.
Here in Santa Cruz, it's 420, 427,
627, and a 60. Yeah.
In Aptos, it's 688.
474, isn't there 474 here too?
477 and 420 are the main numbers I know around here, around Santa Cruz.
Yeah, but I think that's changing. I don't know. When I went and got my phone numbers, you could just pick. You could just pick whatever the heck you wanted.
That's bizarre. 479-1080-DM@ksco.com.
Bizarre.
Should we get to the phones?
I think we should. We got a number of callers who want to chime in about something
I'm
we're
going to hit
discussing.
next.
Do it.
Mary in Santa Cruz, you're in the air.
Okay, real quick before I talk about spell check. When and here's how old I am. My first phone number in San Francisco was Juniper 58015. You had to know a 2-letter prefix.
Wow.
For your telephone number. I can't even tell you what the first 2 numbers were. You just used Juniper 58015.
How do you dial that on your phone? My phone only has numbers.
Yeah, my last cell phone didn't even have letters with the numbers, so I had to. Yeah, I've upgraded. So.
All right.
Anyway, real quick on spell check. My only problem is sometimes it's wrong. I have opened up, I'll be typing an email and it'll tell me my word's wrong, and then I'll go into the suggested word, and half of them are gobbledygook. Somebody has saved a bad word.
Really?
Or a misspelled word. Yeah, it drives me insane, but again, I'm old, so I know how to spell words generally.
All right.
And you know how to use a dictionary and things like
Yes.
that. You know how to use reference books.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your call, Mary. 47910. As a matter of fact, you know what? If you're sending emails with incorrect spelling, boy, you know what that tells me? That tells me that you are too damn lazy to look it up on the internet. You're sitting right in front of a damn computer.
You don't even have to go to the internet. If you're writing an email, you just highlight the word, right-click, and there's usually you can look up that word. And if you can't find it, sometimes
I didn't know that.
Sometimes I'm challenged.
Sometimes
I'm challenged to spell a word, and I know I'm getting it wrong, and I know I'm gonna get it wrong. So I spell it so close to right or whatever I think might be right in a way that it'll offer me the solution. And if it doesn't do that, then you highlight it, you right-click it, and you can look at it. Won't find anything, or it will look up with a search engine.
One of the words that threw me off, that damn word is slew.
Slew bugged me when we were out.
Slew,
Drove me crazy.
the one
SLOUGH.
I kept trying to use SLOUGH in place of SLEU. I had never seen the spelling of it.
Like he slew the dragon.
Like
that is,
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah.
But I was thinking
Slew.
like a slew of problems, right? I was writing a paper and I was writing something, and there's a whole slew of information or a whole slew of problems.
Isn't that spelled SLOUGH?
No, SLEW.
Really?
Yes.
A slew of problems.
And I spelled it SLOUGH, and it kept correcting me, and I was like, no, I want this correcting, and I turned it in like that, and my
listen here, computer.
The instructor circled it and said, no, that's I was right the first way.
Autocorrect. Yeah, I sometimes would have a problem with effect and effect, and one's a verb and one's a noun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the easy way to remember.
But it drove me crazy forever.
Effect with an E is always the noun.
And the who and the whom, right? You only use who when it's the subject of the sentence. And if you're going to get it wrong, don't whom it wrong, because whom sounds way worse if you get it wrong.
What? Wait, say that again? That's an important one.
So you would say, whom are you going with, right? I am going with whom.
Whom.
Right? But what you don't want to do if you're not sure, you say, who...
So you could say who and not sound, and it would still be.
You know what?
If you're not sure whether it's whom or who, stick with who.
Yeah,
I just always say who
because
if I say whom and it's not the right one,
you're gonna sound like someone who's trying to be
exactly.
Oh, that's the worst, dude. That's the worst. I'm trying to get into this habit of saying, when people say, "Hey, Dave, how are you doing?" I'm trying to get into the habit of saying, "I'm doing well." Right,
yes.
because that's what you should say. You should say, I'm doing good.
Really?
Or yes.
That's an adverb.
I just say chillin'.
Well,
I'm doing chillin' isn't correct either, though.
That's not correct.
What are you doing? You could say I'm chillin'.
I just say chillin'.
Oh yeah, because he's young. He doesn't want to use too many words.
Right. Yes. 47910.
Wants to turn that into. How do you turn chillin' into an acronym?
I mean, I don't know.
It's probably CNG. Ching.
Is this Ben? Is this real, dude? This virtual reality glasses for chickens.
What the heck is that?
And is this supposed to make them think they're free range, so that they think they're out there running around with other chickens?
So yeah, this is a video. It's on our Facebook page.
Ridiculous.
This is
ridiculous. Check it out.
Ridiculous.
Apparently, it is real. I just saw it before I left for work today, and it was so absurd that I had to repost it. But yeah, basically, these are virtual reality goggles for chickens, and I believe they're going to use them to give chickens the illusion that they are free-range chickens.
And that's less expensive to have a bunch of chickens
with glasses, virtual reality glasses. It's cheaper.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. I was just so blown away by how crazy this was.
But I love my chicken.
Someone should forward this to Olson.
Yeah, instead of just buying land for these chickens to walk around on, they're going to build virtual reality headsets for every individual chicken and put them in like some sort of chicken matrix.
Yeah, and the chickens, they look around and they're other chickens, right? So they're socializing with digital chickens in their virtual reality chicken matrix.
Dude,
man, they're going to Tron.
Man, this is technology, dude. I'm telling you.
Learn how to spell, kids, because that will prevent
you could end
this.
up a chicken with a virtual reality headset on.
Let's get to the phone lines. Go to our Facebook page. That is
silly
funny
stuff.
as hell. Oh God, that's funny. All right, let's see who's up next. Gray calling from Capitola. You're in the air.
Is that like the glasses ceiling for chicks?
I don't know. This you need to check it out though on our Facebook page.
I was going to say, number one, it's good to hear Dr. Drea on the phone.
Thank you. Nice to be here. I enjoy my time with the boys here.
And the boys, yeah. And then the other thing, the second thing I had to say is you have to know, at least in the ballpark of how to spell something. I had a problem in school with Reneg, and a lot of things come up and not the proper spelling. And the last thing is, if you're on the phone and they say, call 1-800-555-KSCO.
Mm-hmm.
Call. If you misspell that, then you're totally in somewhere else. So I'm all for learning how to spell like we did when we were in school.
Too. But I have to admit, I've gotten lazy.
Thank you for your call, Gray.
479-1080. I just want to say I'm not against spelling. I mean, I think that it's probably...
It's too late, Ben. You've already outed yourself.
I like to play devil's advocate, though, and I think, I'd like to challenge people. Come up with a good example of when you actually need spelling in your life.
Oh, well, I could give you an example.
Please do.
I mean, and you know what I do, I don't know what the hell you call my business, but I'm doing this and doing that. You have to write notes to people, and if somebody writes me a note, Ben, that says, I need your help, HALP, I'm going to say, this man is an idiot. This man does not know.
You're not going to help him?
And I'm not going to help. Number one, I'm not going to help him. And number two,
mean.
I've kind of made a judgment. So it matters how people judge you, and it does matter.
Yes, and another thing, all those websites you like to go on and read those articles and see that stuff. Those words don't magically present themselves in there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come up with them and know them.
Yeah,
and in
some
order
guy
to know them, you have to
bangs
learn
on a
them.
keyboard and then spell check figures it all out.
Help.
Help.
Funny.
Help me.
All right, let's see. Maya, you're in the air.
Oh, hey there. I was trying to go with Miss Mooner, but we'll go with Sonny Mooner. I just wanted to say thank you so much, DM. Thank you, Drea. And thank you, Ben, for being super fun and saving my life many, many times. So I just wanted to express great gratitude, mucho love, kindness towards people. It's very confusing. It's not like some hippie-ass shit that got locked down.
Thank you for that, Maya.
Thank you.
We send good vibes your way, too. Thank you for the call. 479-1080. All right, let's see who's up next.
By the way, before we get to the next call, I just want to point out, you can hear the unedited version of Flight 1080
Yeah, I wonder
online.
what she said. I wonder what she
You
said.
can find out what Miss Lunar said.
Yes, a couple of profane words.
Yeah, go to youtube.com. Our channel is called KSCO Global. You can find us. We're live streaming there on YouTube. It's also posted on our Facebook page. If you follow the Facebook page, you should be able to find a link to the YouTube channel there.
479-1080. Let's get out to the phone lines. Richard is calling from Pacific Grove. You're in the air.
Hey, bear with me. When I was going through the tunnel, you were talking about the education system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think someday parents should sue the education system. I mean, at the universities. I was sitting in Costco yesterday, and there was three girls having a discussion about history, and this one girl said, all Vietnam veterans are already dead. You can't even talk to them. And I'm sitting right next to her, and I knocked on her door. I said, guess what? You're sitting next to a Vietnam veteran.
Oh, Lordy.
I know. And then it went from there. I said, well, what do you think you know about Vietnam? Talk about Vietnam. It was very nice. One was studying to be a dentist, say, right? And the other one was doing this. But these women had absolutely no idea about the history of this country. World War II, World War I, huh? And these are college people.
But that's not a college class. That's actually elementary and junior high or middle school and high school classes where that should be learned, no?
Well, in either case, they didn't remember anything. They couldn't tell when World War II happened, when World War I happened. They thought all Vietnam veterans are dead. I said, how old do you think the war was? I had no idea. Now, that's scary.
It is scary because it happened, I think when I was a baby.
It is a problem.
It makes me feel old.
A level of education is kind of
Thank you for your call, 479-1080.
Let's get the other callers
Okay,
we're so
let's
close
get
to
to
the top
him.
of the hour.
Jim and Aptos, you're in the air.
A couple things. Talking about who you're going with. The preposition is not something you want to end a sentence with.
Yes.
Are you the one who did that to me?
No,
somebody
I did
told me
it
that.
to you.
Somebody told me that, and now I catch myself doing this all the time, and it drives me crazy. I want to hit myself.
The quote is ending a sentence with the preposition is something up with which I will not put. That's how I know
there
it.
You go, Winston Churchill.
Yeah, exactly. That one's good.
Anyway, it also lends credence to you when you're writing on Facebook. If you're going to spell things wrong, you lose credence on your opinions.
That's what. Yeah, exactly, Jim. Spelling is a big part of. People judge you by your spelling.
Always amazes me how someone can type like a Facebook comment or a comment on a story, and they can have a spelling error, and that literally you're sitting in front of a computer. How do you spell anything wrong?
Our current head of the administration misspelled council.
I know. I was going to bring that up too, but we don't have enough time.
No, we don't have time, but we have one more caller,
Jim, here's one for you, Jim.
Ooh.
Go tell Dionne Warwick when that song. Do you know where you're going to? Right?
Do you like the things that I've been showing
life
you?
Is showing. Do you know where you're going to? That is incorrect.
Totally wrong.
Grammar.
Also,
that's incorrect.
The song "Who Do You Love"?
Yeah.
Grammatically correct. It would be "Whom Do You Love?"
Liberty, you got about 30 seconds. Take it.
Okay. Yeah, you stole part of my thunder with the Winston Churchill quote, but
one of the spell check doesn't catch everything, like the difference between there, and there, for instance.
Good point.
And also the thing that drives me absolutely crazy is confusing then and than.
Yes.
For instance, I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than have a frontal lobotomy.
Thank you for the call, Liberty 479-1080.
English
Learn how to spell, you guys.
Yeah.
Learn
Don't
correct.
listen to Ben.
Learn how to speak English.
A little
KSEO
bit.
Santa Cruz and spell it. Flight
Today
1080.
called the special counsel investigation of his campaign ties to Russia a witch hunt, and he denied there was any collusion between him and his campaign.
I think it's totally ridiculous. Everybody thinks so. And again, we have to get back to working our country properly so that we can take care of the problems that we have. We have plenty of problems.
But CBS News has learned individuals connected to the Trump campaign may have been coordinating with the Russians as early as 7 months before the November election. CBS's Jeff Pagay says some of the contacts were innocuous.
Sources tell CBS News investigators also discovered multiple contacts that were cause for concern. The FBI is scrutinizing former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, foreign policy advisor Carter Page, and the former national security advisor Michael Flynn. But it is unclear if there are other Trump associates under investigation.
Forces loyal to the Syrian government were the target of a U.S. airstrike today. CBS's Cammie McCormick has details.
Coalition planes targeted this pro-Syrian regime convoy when it advanced well into an established deconfliction zone, according to the U.S. military. The convoy, it says, posed a threat to U.S. and its partner forces. American troops are training Syrian rebels there to fight ISIS. A statement says the strikes were launched after Russian attempts to stop the convoy, a show of force by coalition aircraft, and even warning shots. In the end, coalition planes launched strikes against the lead vehicles.
In Greece, thousands of people took to the streets of Athens to protest a new round of austerity measures, including extending pension cuts and tax hikes. A small group of protesters threw gasoline bombs at riot police, who responded with tear gas. Acting on a tip, Pennsylvania troopers found 3 young children, including a toddler in a wooden cage, alone in a hot house in North Manheim Township. Police Sergeant Fred Krug.
It wasn't easy to look at. Like anyone, they'd be disturbed by what they saw.
The father, 38-year-old Cecil Cutts, was arrested when he got home and charged with child endangerment. Roger Ailes, the communications expert who shook up TV by creating Fox News Channel and left in a sexual harassment scandal, has died. He was 77. In a 2001 interview with Charlie Rose, he explained why viewers were drawn to Fox News.
They think that perhaps points of view are being eliminated and some stories are being eliminated on other channels. And that's why they're watching Fox News. And that's why we're winning.
The target of several sexual harassment lawsuits, Ailes was fondly remembered by Fox anchor Ainsley Earhardt.
He went out in such a sad way, but who doesn't have sins? We all have our sins, we all have our cross to bear, and Roger, I will love you forever.
This is CBS News.
Wouldn't it be great if you could stop crime before it happens? With the Ring Floodlight Cam, you can. I'm Jamie Siminoff, inventor and founder of Ring. Floodlight Cam is a motion-activated HD security camera that connects right to your phone, so you're alerted when anyone steps onto your property. You can now see, speak, or even sound an alarm right from your phone, anywhere, anytime. Does your floodlight prevent crime? Ours does. Go to ring.com/advantage and save $150 off of a Ring of Security kit. That's ring.com/advantage.
This is Charles Husband. Olivet Nazarene University believes that an education unlocks a person's potential. They believe an educated person has a positive impact on his or her community. They believe that education is not something to be contained, but imparted to the world. They believe in you. Learn more at graduate.olivet.edu. Olivet Nazarene University. From where you are to where you will be.
A warning for parents before they take their kids to the local pool.
More kids are getting sick because, well, other kids are pooping in the pool.
Most germs are killed within minutes.
cryptosporidiums that can survive for days.
The CDC's Michelle Hosfeld tells me parents need to keep kids with diarrhea out of the pool and tell your kids don't swallow the pool water.
The other thing we can do as parents, I have a 2-year-old at home, is not to bring toys with us that encourage swallowing the water.
There were 32 outbreaks of crypto last year. Sabrina Cupid for CBS News, Atlanta. Are you smarter than a 14-year-old? Two of them, Texas 8th grader Pranay Varada and Thomas Wright of Wisconsin, made it into a 10th sudden death tiebreaker for the National Geographic Bee. Contestants have an impressive knowledge of rivers, borders, and cultures around the world. Pranay won the tiebreaker by correctly identifying the Kunlun Mountains, a 1,200-mile range along the Tibetan Plateau. Pam Coulter, CBS News.
Finding great people to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's time to try ZipRecruiter, where 80% of jobs get a qualified candidate in just one day. How? Using powerful technology, ZipRecruiter matches your job to the right candidates fast. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/talk for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/talk.
This is Charles Husby. Olivet Nazarene University believes that an education unlocks a person's potential. They believe an educated person has a positive impact on his or her community. They believe that education is not something to be contained, but imparted to the world. They believe in you. Learn more at graduate.olivet.edu. Olivet Nazarene University. From where you are to where you will be.
You're listening to AM 1080 KSEO Santa Cruz, AM 1340 KOMY La Selva Beach, Watsonville. The time is now 5:06. We've got traffic and weather for you. We start off on Highway 1 southbound speeds stop and go at 41st Avenue. They'll stay that way all the way into Aptos. Slowing down again as you pass Salinas Road, southbound 1 as you're heading out of Watsonville towards Moss Landing, so be ready for that. Monterey into Seaside, 10 miles per hour will be your top speed. Same thing as you're heading eastbound on Highway 68. Speeds picking up near Corral de Tierra. Southbound 101 through Coyote Valley, topping out at 5 to 10 miles per hour, slowing down again in Gilroy, and then again near the 156 exit. All three of those doing about the same, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your weather forecast for this evening, mostly clear conditions are expected. Lows should be around 50 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny with highs in the mid-70s. Your boaters forecast for tonight includes a small craft advisory, west winds 15 to 25 knots, becoming east 10 knots after midnight. Wind waves 3 to 4 feet, becoming 2 feet or less, and west swells 5 to 7 feet at 9 seconds. KSEO drive time now 5:07. We're moving on to headlines. Phil Deseth is standing by with those. Remember, check out KSEO.com. Also, be sure to download the app for your smartphone. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, KSEO.com. News, traffic, weather, podcasts, and more. Phil Deseth is ready to go. Take it away, Phil.
Thanks, Dave, and good afternoon, Central Coast. A Santa Cruz neurosurgeon and 2 nurses are accused of raping children younger than 10 years old. Watsonville police reported that 57-year-old James Kohut had affairs with a Dominican hospital ICU nurse, 42-year-old Rochelle Brandon of Watsonville, and a second nurse, 29-year-old Emily Steffens, and that children were abused during their sexual encounters. According to an arrest warrant, Brandon's husband found a tape showing his wife and Steffens committing sex acts together against children. Although all 3 suspects worked in hospitals, police found no evidence that any crimes occurred in medical facilities. And Watsonville police held a press conference earlier today about the arrests of the 3 people. Police Chief David Honda spoke about the investigation.
Now, overall, 7 children, ages ranging from 3 years old to 13 years old, have been taken into protective custody in California and in Arizona. And based on the evidence at this time, we believe that these individuals were working together, and we also believe that we have all the suspects associated to this particular case in custody at this time. And the investigation is still ongoing, both at the federal level as well as local level. So it's very important that I want to put out that if there's anyone that has information regarding this case, or has been a victim, or is a witness, please contact the Watsonville Police Department.
All three suspects are facing life sentences if convicted. A man was arrested after he was spotted in a stolen vehicle on Tuesday. Santa Cruz police received a report of a stolen vehicle at 7:38 on the 11 a.m. on the 1100 block of Pacific Avenue. The vehicle was spotted later on River Street. 42-year-old Philip Penn of Santa Cruz was arrested for auto theft. Police are saying that auto theft is on the rise and encourage the public to use the following tips. Never leave your car running and unattended or leave your keys in the vehicle. Never hide a spare in the car. Park in well-lit areas and highly visible areas, and do not leave valuables in plain sight. And multiple traffic offenders have teamed up with officers have teamed up with Scotts Valley Police in an effort to reduce aggressive driving. Beginning today, the SVPD will be hosting Badges, a countywide program targeting aggressive drivers in designated areas. All cell phones, seatbelt, and speeding violations will be strictly enforced. And the Santa Cruz City Hall property at 810 Center Street is now unavailable as a sleeping area for the homeless. Richard Maroney has more on that story.
City administrators closed it to the public for the hours between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. on weekdays and all weekends. They changed the property's designation from an open access park to office grounds because of complaints about homeless people increasingly being aggressive towards city workers and members of the public. This is Richard Maroney for KSCO Radio.
The California Department of Fish and Wildlife Services announced they have extended the duration of an emergency closure of the commercial rock crab fishery in Northern California. Tavia Avila has more on that story.
The emergency crab season closure is extended due to neurotoxin. The area impacted is north of Pigeon Point in San Mateo County to the Oregon border. The closure of the commercial fishery will remain in effect until the domoic acid levels no longer pose a threat to public health. This is Tavia Avila for KSCO Radio News.
And finally, a bill that could protect an immigrant's status from being disclosed in a public courtroom has been approved by the Senate Public Safety Committee. State Senator Scott Wiener says getting this bill approved is really important.
If immigrants believe that going to court might mean that they'll be deported, they're not going to go to court and testify, and that will reduce public safety. So what this bill says is that before an attorney asks a witness about their immigration status, you have to go to the judge first, out of the public view, and explain why the question is relevant. And if it's relevant and it's admissible, you can go ahead and do it, but the judge will make that preliminary ruling. And the goal here, again, is to really make clear that courthouses are safe spaces where everyone can go and be safe.
If signed into law, SB 785 would require an attorney to persuade a judge that the immigrant status is important to the case. It's 5:12, time to get back to Flight 1080. I'm Phil Deseth for KSCO Radio.
Healthcare that fits your Santa Cruz lifestyle. That's why Dignity Health Dominican Hospital and Dignity Health Medical Group Dominican work with you to make personal choices regarding your health. It's the type of care we can offer because we're more than just a hospital and medical group. We're part of this community. Visit DominicanHospital.org to find a doctor and start living healthy today. Healthcare that fits your Santa Cruz lifestyle. Dignity Health. Hello, human kindness.
Hello, folks. Charlie Friedman here at Ella's at the Watsonville Airport. Ella, how do you get people to travel to the Watsonville Airport just to enjoy the food?
You know, we start with vitality of fresh food. What we mean by vitality is that when foods are still fresh, still with all of their nutrients in them, you're getting the absolute best bang for your buck. And also, when you lightly cook items, don't overcook them, it allows your body to absorb nutrients in the food to its best abilities. So it's actually better to many times blanch, say, a broccolini than eat a raw broccolini. And that's what's really special about us. Not only are we blanching those items, but many times we're using local organic food, so you're getting really the best of the best.
Folks, you will tell all your friends what a great dining experience you had at the airport. Ella's at the Watsonville Airport.
This is the news. This morning, we are saluting the 2.2 million women who have joined in the war effort. They now make up 37% of the workforce, changing their role forever.
The prestigious Harvard Medical School is breaking ground today, opening its doors to new female applicants.
Today, little girls all over the world look to the sky, where the first woman is now in space.
Military stereotypes are challenged today with the trailblazing promotion of a U.S. female officer to 4-star general. It was just announced that the vast majority of last year's doctorate degrees were earned by women.
We've come so far, but our news is changing for the worse. More women die from heart disease and stroke than men, even though it can be prevented. Make a change at GoRedForWomen.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women.
How many lawyers does it take to answer a legal question? In this case, the answer is 2. Join my co-host, law professor Stephen Wagner, and me, Mitchell Winnick, Dean of Monterey College of Law. Wagner and Winnick on the Law, Saturday afternoons, 4 to 5 p.m., here on KSCO AM 1080. Remember, if you don't know the law, know a lawyer.
This portion of Flight 1080 brought to you by the Santa Cruz Sentinel. Read the Sentinel daily, in print or online, and hear the stories discussed here on Flight 1080 and be part of the discussion.
You're listening to KSCO, serving freedom, Hunter Liggett, and Jamesburg.
Four 479-1080. You're listening to Flight 1080, KSCO Santa Cruz. It's 5:17. Let's take a quick look at our text messages before we move on to Doug's phone call. Let's see, 218-5726, by the way. Another thing is they don't teach handwriting anymore. How are the kids today going to learn to sign their name? What do you think about handwriting? I think that's kind of a wasted,
I don't
effort.
at all.
Really?
Oh no, I like my cursive. I can write much more quickly, and a lot of kids don't really learn cursive, or they don't use it anymore because they're typing all the time. But I do find it a good skill, and there have been studies done that when taking notes in classes and things like that, it's better to use handwriting than to be trying to take notes on a computer or a tablet or something like that, because it activates a part of your brain.
What do you think, Ben?
I definitely believe that. I mean, I handwrite all my notes, and it definitely helps me with school.
And so if you can write faster, which cursive is.
What if you don't spell right? Will you be able to read your own things? I mean, that's an example of why spelling is
To be honest, I don't usually even go back and read my own notes, because that doesn't really do much for me.
Right.
Going back and reading my own handwriting, yeah, it's a good way to sort of review, but if I want to memorize something, if I want something to really like get in my brain, I'll write it down.
You know, I've always thought that writing notes was kind of dumb.
Oh no!
Because I know, but you know, when you're in class and someone's trying to tell you something important, and you're going, and you're looking down, writing things down, you should be paying attention to him. And like you said, Ben, I never go back and read those things. The only reason writing them down is to cement them more into my memory.
Exactly.
But you know what? It would help me more if I paid attention to what that guy was saying.
Yeah, see, I'm different.
because you're losing. You're dividing your attention. You have to.
So yeah,
write.
definitely note taking, being able to listen to like a lecture and take notes at the same time. That's a skill.
Yeah,
that's something that you need practice. You need to, you need to do it again and again to be able to get good at it. But for me, yeah, like I said, to get something stuck in my brain, writing it down by hand, that's the best way to do it.
When I have phone calls, I would always, when I'm here, I always jot things down. And back when I was working in operations and I'd have to deal with phone calls, I would have just papers and papers of little notes that I was taking while talking to people, and I knew I had stuff to do, and I could find it, and I'd be, okay, that's right there. It's in the bottom right-hand corner. That's where I wrote that little thing and circled it, and then I would remember exactly what it was about. So, but I just wrote
show
keywords.
the live stream your page of notes after you're done.
My page of notes.
She ends up with like 3 pages of notes. Right now she's only got 1.
I'm amazed at how much you write.
But I don't think about it when I'm doing it, and it helps me remember. And then I can really quickly refer to numbers or stats and things
really
like
nice.
that. So I have them right there, sort of key points.
So the other part of that text message that you just read was about how will people ever learn to sign their name?
Yeah.
In 50 to 100 years, no one's going to sign their name anymore.
Well, lots of things are digital now anyway.
Yeah, it's just going to be too easy for someone else to replicate or steal your signature that it'll go to like fingerprints or something like that.
Yeah, or you have a chip.
Man, dude, I can't. You know what? Dude, we got to get to the phone call, but I cannot believe that attitude. I mean, that is the attitude that is going to make mankind so dependent on technology. When the EMP does come, we're all going to die. We're all going to die, Ben, because you would rather type than to write or whatever it is.
You know,
you're blaming the end of the world and that we're all going to die on Ben.
What I'm saying is we're becoming too dependent, and we're going to be lazy, and we're not going to know what to do.
Well, we're going to run into problems when we don't have technology if it stops all of a sudden.
If someone got a hold of your signature, they just scan it with a computer. That computer can replicate it with 100% accuracy.
You're just not that unique.
He's not getting what I'm saying, or am I not saying what I'm saying?
Well, I don't see the signature part of it as being so pivotal, but I think that the basic skills of reading and writing without any sort of powered, electricity-driven.
I never said you shouldn't be able to
What if you were stuck on an island, Ben? He wouldn't even know how to sign his own name.
But writing, I didn't say he did, but
said,
writing.
I'm challenging our audience to come up with an example in modern day life when you actually need to know how to spell. That's what I was talking about.
I like the ones
and she's going, you don't know. Ben's against reading.
So what if you own a shop?
You're against education in general, aren't you, Ben?
Yeah,
you think
Let's get to the phone calls.
That's why I've been going to school for a million years now.
479-1080. Doug, Salinas, you're in the air.
Hey.
Hey, Doug.
Talking about spelling, handwriting, remembering phone numbers, and so on and so forth. They're a part of a discipline, just like soap and water. And we want to forget. We want to do it the easy way, but discipline is a part of our lives, and there is nothing that pays us back any more handsomely than having discipline in our life. You're talking about forgetting phone numbers and that kind of stuff. Boy, I just got a new iPhone, and I have put that off. My kid finally gave me one. I've always had a little cell phone, but that thing takes, it's got a lot of neat things on it, but that thing takes up so darn much time, and it also takes away, relate the cell phone to texting and accidents. We need to be disciplined to take care of ourselves and the ones around us. And technology's fine, but
I think you need the bases, and then if you have the bases, you can play around with the rest. But some of the bases, like reading and writing, and I know you didn't say anything about reading. Spelling is included for me in writing.
479.
And the English language is pretty tough because, as we had earlier, like the 2, 2, and 2, the there, and there, the site, and site, right? We have all sorts of words that I found this. Dave, you might like this. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
The correct way to spell potato. If GH can stand for P as in hiccup, and if O can stand for O as in dough, so OUGH, and PHTH can stand for T as in, fistiosus? I can't say that. If EIGH can stand for A as in neighbor, If TTE can stand for T, as in Gazette, and if EAU can stand for O, as in Plateau, then the correct way to spell potato would be GHOUGHPHTHEIGHTTTEEAU.
Got it, Ben?
That would
You've
be
been spelling it wrong the whole.
lost.
You've been spelling it wrong the whole
well,
time.
basically, hiccup, for example. The up sound in hiccup is OUGH
That's not the way you spell
or GH.
hiccup, though. Hiccup is HICCUP.
Yeah, that's how I spell hiccup.
Yeah.
Maybe this is British.
Yeah, maybe.
How about doe? Do you spell doe with OUGH?
Doe?
Yeah.
Doe, a deer, a theme, DOE.
Yeah, but doe as in
He's just
bread
being,
dough.
he's just trying to fight with you, Dre. He's just trying to.
Is he being all?
Yeah, he's being
I'm
dodgy.
falling
He's being
for
dodgy.
it. Dodgy.
218-5726.
OUGH can stand for O as in doe. So anything that has that O sound to it, you could spell with OUGH.
Well, that's just an example of how lame the English language is.
The English language. Yeah, it's very, because there are all these rules and there are all these exceptions to the rules. Right?
Jeez, check this one out.
Yeah?
This is a text. If Ben was, W-U-Z, on FIEREYE, WOOD, would, KNOT, HALP, so these are all the most impossible spelling. If Ben was on fire, I would not help him. It's all
incorrect.
This is great. Yeah, that's a great one.
That's not very nice.
We have a cat named Rick, and we spell Rick with a W.
Rick?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
isn't
you could do
right.
that. Spelling is not just about writing. It's also about reading. Someone who can't write the difference between similar words can't read it either. So if they are supposed to read aloud, they're going to screw it all up.
And say like slow or sloth for slew. It's the sloth slew.
Elkhorn sloth.
Yeah, I guess.
It's an Elkhorn sloth.
479-1080. Do we have anybody else online, or do we get to the next story? Oh, we do. Okay, so let me warn people in Salinas, because the last caller, Doug, was talking about texting, right? That's a big problem. Click it or ticket. Salinas police are urging drivers to wear seatbelts. This is May 23rd or 22nd through June 4th, so that's about 2 weeks in Salinas. The police are going to be looking for people who are not wearing their seatbelts, along with other violations.
Why don't people wear seatbelts? I do not understand.
You got to
that.
be an idiot to not do that.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's just
Seatbelts?
ridiculous.
Did you know that seatbelts actually increased traffic deaths when they were invented?
They did?
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was a kid, people not wanting to wear seatbelts because the seatbelt law, I guess, had just gone into effect, and people were saying, "Oh, it's more deadly, it's more dangerous wearing a seatbelt." People are always saying that. Same thing with the helmets.
You don't fly out of
riding
a car.
Riding a motorcycle, they say,
don't
"Oh, the
think-
helmet makes it more dangerous. You can break your neck easier with the helmet." But the seatbelt, people were really, really pushing back against the seatbelt law. When it first
So the
came in. Yeah, I
reason
remember that.
why when seatbelts were first invented and introduced and put into automobiles, they encouraged people, because people had the seatbelts now, they thought the cars were safer. So they started driving faster.
Ah, yes,
and that's
yeah,
why.
right,
And they started driving more recklessly, and more traffic deaths occurred.
You know, one of the coolest times I ever had, experiences I ever had, was when I pulled up next to a CH. Actually, he pulled up next to me, and I was in a 71 Lincoln Continental, right? It was a Lincoln. And at that time, they had just switched over to seatbelts. They had just started putting seatbelts in their car, but they were optional. So it was a lap belt along with the shoulder harness,
there was a
right?
shoulder
And the
even.
shoulder harness you could just fold up and put on the tuck it into the roof. It was totally optional. That part was optional. What was mandatory was the lap belt. So you as long as you had the lap belt on, you were fine. You were within the law. So when a CHP officer pulls up next to me, I'm not wearing a seatbelt because the hell with that, right? And he says, "Hey, where's your seatbelt?" I go, "Card, doesn't have that." And he goes, "Oh, okay," and he just drove away. It did have seatbelts. I just chose not to wear them. And he didn't know that was a year that it just happened to come with seatbelts.
You fooled him.
I fooled him.
You fooled
Fooled
him.
him. Yes.
Pulled one over.
Those are actually old cars. Are they exempt, or do you have to do something
no,
about
they're
that?
Exempt.
They are exempt, aren't they? Yeah.
That one was exempt. My 64 Belvedere.
I mean,
you know what that one
my
had?
goodness, if school buses don't have seatbelts, I mean,
Do they now or not?
When I grew up, there was no seatbelts on
No,
those
they
school
didn't have them
buses.
either, no.
Yeah, I would think of all the places in the world that you should have seatbelts, it should be on a school bus.
I've been on school buses with seatbelts, though.
I never have.
I'm pretty sure.
Not in Watsonville.
Never seen that in my life.
Well,
479-1080.
maybe I'm wrong.
DM at KSEO.com. Hi,
It
Dave.
can happen.
I've been away from the radio for a few minutes, so you may have solved this. But if not, I wanted to let you know that Rick and Rosie had a guest on their show earlier this week that explained the reasons for the gnats around the radio station. I wasn't paying very close attention as they did not directly affect me, but I believe it was Rosie's interview on Monday morning with the UCSC professor that talks about the ocean. You could replay the show or ask one of them tomorrow. That's a good idea.
How do you spell gnats?
G-N-A-T.
Ha.
Yes.
See, that's another one of those.
Yeah.
Knife, night, gnats.
Technology,
gnarly.
Ben. Drea can be our friend, also can be our enemy.
Well, it's the enemy of the chicken.
No, the
That
chicken
is-
might like it. They're going to become all addicted.
That
I'm
is
not,
so
don't make
ridiculous.
me leave my world.
You know, Michael Olson does the Saturday food chain, which is, they cover agricultural issues. And I wonder if he's heard that. You know, because
I'll have to show him.
free range chickens, people want free range chickens, right? We want, and free
Yes.
range just means that they have the
But I
range,
also think
full
peop-
range of movement.
Yes, and people
Not that
don't
they're running out
realize
there
that.
on a
Most
range.
people, when they hear the term free range, they assume, oh, these chickens are given free range. They get
No.
to walk around the farm or pasture or whatever they are.
No.
Free range literally means range of motion.
Right, they can move their arms.
Yeah,
and that's
they
free
can
range.
move their arms. They can move their wings without touching another chicken.
Right. So yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Those are the rules.
Are they on the ground, though, too, though? They're not in are they on...
Are they single layer or are they layered on top of each other?
I think it's all
That's
just
what
like
I'm
an
going,
open pen. So there's just one layer of them.
Okay,
There is, right? And they're on
I believe so.
ground
That's good.
stuff. They're not standing in metal cages.
Yeah.
I hope not. Okay, good. Well, that's good to know.
A little bit of
4790.
something.
And it's even better to know, Ben, that they could someday think of being on Mars or dream of exploring the Antarctic.
I don't know.
They can do that right now, actually.
If you
virtually.
saw the video on our Facebook page, it looks like they can just squawk around with a bunch of other digital chickens.
The Chicken Matrix, huh? KSEO Santa Cruz Flight 1080. We'll be right back.
CBS News Update. Fielding a string of controversies, President Trump said he did not ask former FBI Director James Comey to stop the Michael Flynn investigation, and he called the investigation of Russian election meddling a witch hunt.
Believe me, there's no collusion. Russia is fine, but whether it's Russia or anybody else, my total priority, believe me, is the United States of America.
Mr. Trump also told reporters his firing of Comey was influenced by the memo from the Deputy Attorney General, who told senators he knew Comey would be fired before he wrote the memo. CBS's Steve Chigueras.
The question is politically, and this is where the Democrats sort of seized on this, was it looks like if Trump did this on his own, it was either out of spite because Comey was leading an investigation from the FBI into Trump's campaign, or that there was a, quote, cover-up, which is what Democrats are sort of suggesting.
CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
You're listening to AM 1080 KSEO Santa Cruz. It's 5:32. Time for local headlines. Here's Phil Disa.
Thanks, Dave, and good afternoon, Central Coast. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife Services announced they have extended the duration of an emergency closure of the commercial rock crab fishery in Northern California. The emergency crab season closure is extended due to neurotoxin. The area impacted is north of Pigeon Point in San Mateo County to the Oregon border. The closure of the commercial fishery will remain in effect until domoic acid levels no longer pose a public health threat. The Salinas Police Department has announced that the next Community Academy will take place in the fall of 2017. Community Academy participants will have the opportunity to go on a ride-along and learn about the SWAT team, CSI unit, participate in scenarios, and learn about the hiring process. Each class will feature a new topic with speakers, demonstrations, and discussions. The Salinas Police Department will announce the dates of the Community Academy in July. For more information, call 831-758-7247. And a training exercise took place underwater yesterday. Members of the Monterey County Sheriff's Dive Team and the Coast Guard and San Francisco Division of the FBI dove into the Monterey Bay to determine how to investigate an underwater crime scene. The exercise is part of those officers preparing for possible underwater attacks. It's 5:33, time to get back to Flight 1080. I'm Phil Deeseth for KSCO Radio.
Thank you, Phil. KSEO drive time is 5:34. Let's take a quick look at what's happening out there on your roadways. All right. Southbound Highway 1 is stop and go from Santa Cruz into Aptos. Heading from Watsonville into Moss Landing near Salinas Road. Southbound 1 also stop and go. Monterey into Seaside 10 miles per hour. Eastbound 68, same thing until you make it past Corral de Tierra. Stop and go traffic crossing over Coyote Creek. Southbound 101, 10 miles per hour. Also southbound 101 in Gilroy, and then again near Highway 156. Your weather forecast for tonight is for mostly clear conditions. Overnight lows should be around 50 degrees. Tomorrow sunny, highs in the mid-70s. The boaters forecast for tonight includes a small craft advisory, west winds 15 to 25 knots, becoming east after midnight, wind waves 3 to 4 feet, becoming 2 feet or less, and west swells 5 to 7 feet at 9 seconds. CHP reporting up on Highway 17 southbound near the Fish Hook. A hit and run with no injuries reported at 5:30. No further details. We'll keep you updated there. Stop and go traffic again at the Fish Hook southbound 1. Flight 1080 back after this.
Hi, folks. It's Jim Peterson of Solar for America by Peterson Dean. Look, I want to talk today about good, and I want to talk about great, and what the difference is. There's a big difference between good, which is what our competitors are, and great, which is what Solar for America by Peterson Dean is. Great. We don't settle for good. Great. We have great products, great people, great services, great prices, great warranties. Nothing we do is good enough. It has to be great. I'd like you to give me a call if you need a new roof, an all-American solar power system, a new fence mended or built, or backup battery for your home. The number is 888-981-7563. That's 888-981-7563. Look, it's not good enough at Solar for America by Peterson Dean. It has to be great for our customers. 888-981-7563. 888-981-7563. Solar for America by Peterson Dean. CSLB 468-117.
It's always open house at the Mike Young Real Estate Hour, and you are always invited to walk right in and join the discussion. Hello, I am Mike Young, and I love talking real estate with all the experts and with you. So get a jump on the Real Estate Weekend every Friday, 7 p.m. on the Mike Young Real Estate Hour, right here on Listen and Be Heard Radio KSCO. The Mike Young Real Estate Hour is brought to you by Thunderbird Real Estate, Real People Selling Real Estate, by Rick Williams at American Pacific Mortgage, and by Steve Manville at Farmers Insurance. Friday at 7. See you then.
The Cannabis Connection is the educational outlet for all to engage with policy, science, culture, and local developments in order to orient the community in the rapidly evolving cannabis renaissance. Our goal is to open a dialogue surrounding the potential that this plant provides to heal people's ailments, but also heal our society from a social and economic standpoint. Tune in to The Cannabis Connection, Friday nights, 8 to 9 p.m. on KSCO AM 1080.
You are listening to KSCO, serving Capitola, Castroville, and San Benito.
218-5726. The answer is no. That's the answer to a text that I got here.
That's what you're just going to say no. Just say no, Dave.
Well, it's a yes or no question. It says, hey, Dave, does my phone tell you who I am when I text Flight 1080? It just gives me the number, but no, it does not tell me who it is. Unless I enter it into my database and say this number belongs to whoever, then it might do it. But for the most part, it just tells me the number. It's totally anonymous.
As a text message?
Yes, a text
and
message.
by phone
line.
calls, we can see numbers unless you block that.
Right. 218-5726-479-1080. Okay.
One can do that.
Phone lines are clear. Anything else we need to bring up, Ben? Let's see. Did we cover everything on our Facebook page?
Everything on our Facebook
Everything,
page?
every
No.
single thing.
There's no way we could possibly do that.
We did
There's
talk about
too
chickens.
much good stuff. One of the cool things you could check out on our Facebook page, there's a link to our YouTube channel. If you go to KSCO Global, that is the name of our YouTube channel, you can watch a live stream of us. We are in studio today, obviously. You can check us out. We have the live stream in studio going on. During the breaks, we have the beautiful KSCO Beach Cam.
We do, and it's a beautiful day, too.
Oh, my goodness,
Holy
yeah.
moly,
What are we
really
doing indoors,
nice.
guys?
479-1080. Santa Cruz County Elections Department machines need to be replaced. There's an article in the Santa Cruz Sentinel showing just how old these machines are. Right now, I guess there's nothing to worry about. They're working just fine, but they will need to have parts replaced. And maintenance. And
as
those,
one does with one's car and house and stuff.
And those parts are just too hard to get a hold of. It is being recommended.
They're
Soros
obsolete.
needs to update the...
They're becoming obsolete. Yeah,
That happens.
George Soros needs to buy some more voting machines.
Like, I used to be in electronic distribution, and you would have parts that would go obsolete. And if you were building stuff that you were going to build for the next 10 years, you had to make sure you had all those parts if they were approved and
Really?
if they were no longer going to be available. Yeah, that's a big deal when parts go obsolete. It can be a problem depending on your industry, but yeah.
It's probably a little bit easier now that eBay's around, right? I mean, do you remember?
Well, it is, but when parts go obsolete, I mean, I've had times, I remember it was so hard to get these parts. We had 4 left in some warehouse down in Australia, and I got my hands on them, but it was big and dramatic, and they were no longer in the market anywhere to be found. And that's when they end up with a broker, and if a broker has some, then he's going to obviously whip up the price and get what you can for it. Supply and demand. But yeah, so if parts become obsolete, when you build stuff for the government and for the military, I think you have to guarantee 7 or 9 years of replacement parts. So if you imagine if you build for the government and you have to maintain that, you have to be able to get your hands on those parts.
So maybe that's why John Teeter needed to go back in time to get that piece to fix his time machine.
Well, that would make sense.
Right.
The parts became obsolete, so he got his
the
time
parts
machine
became
and went
obsolete.
back in time.
Greetings. I am a time traveler from the year 2036. I'm on my way home after getting an IBM 5100 computer system from the year 1975.
IBM?
Mm-hmm. My time machine is a stationary mass temporal displacement unit. And this guy's bad grammar. That's an unnecessary comma. A stationary mass temporal displacement unit manufactured by General Electric. The unit is powered by 2 top-spin dual positive singularities that produce a standard offset Tipler sinusoid.
Sinusoid.
I don't know what that is. I'll be happy to post pictures of the unit. Let's see here.
What are you talking about?
This is John Teeter's blog. He's a time traveler. He had to come back because he needed a part that was no longer available from the year 2036.
2036, yes.
And so he needed a part to fix something, and it was no longer available. He had to go back to 1975, I believe it was.
Yes, 1975, and for his IBM whatnot.
Right, there was a piece in that printer or whatever it is that he needed. It would work to fix whatever he needed to fix in the year that he was from. But,
reminds me of Back to the Future, only the wrong direction. Because he goes back and then he needs the power and he can't get the power because he can't get his hands on plutonium or whatever it is. And then they have to come up with this idea.
I was going to say, that sounds really familiar, right?
Yeah.
Darn it.
So according to one of our callers, John Teeter went back in time and met himself as a child.
Did they get along?
I don't know. I'd probably slap the crap out of myself as a young person.
What are you thinking?
479.
Stop wetting the bed. Yeah, that doesn't work that way.
No, but that was according to Coast to Coast.
So here's something that I've thought about before. Okay, now.
So is this a serious story? Are we taking this literally that this guy traveled back in time?
Yeah, it's serious, of course.
Oh, this is for real?
Dave's serious about it.
Oh, okay. I thought we were.
Oh, of course.
Diving into the realm.
Okay, so let me ask you, Drea.
Okay.
If you had a chance to go back in time and meet yourself, assuming that the universe this didn't result in the universe exploding or something like that, right? You go back go back to the past and you meet yourself as a little kid. What would you do? What would you say? What would you give yourself? What would you do?
Oh, I'd probably tell myself not to worry about lots of stuff.
Would you?
Most likely.
Would
and
you?
We'd
Would
go
you
out and
warn
get
yourself?
ice cream.
Would you warn yourself if things come? Would you advise your of?
I'd get my parents to invest in Apple or IBM in the 70s, something like that.
So I'm wondering how many of us wouldn't do the same thing.
Maybe all those wealthy people did exactly that. They went back in time and then they made all this money, and that's why we're like where we are now.
So what if okay, so let me put it this way: if I had a chance to go back in time and see myself,
what would you say to you? Stop shooting hummingbirds?
I would say, oh, you'll never forget that. Yeah, he used to shoot hummingbirds.
That's
Yeah,
appalling.
that is terrible.
That's awful.
God,
Ugh.
what a jerk. You know what I would do though, Drea? I would give myself some trader secrets, right? Some kind of inside trade secrets. I would tell myself. I would maybe pass myself the plans to invent the little umbrella that goes in the drink. Something that could make me rich, right? Something that can make me rich. Something that's revolutionary. Something that revolutionizes
You'd buy the
an
patent
industry.
for that one thing. That goes
For the spinner,
around.
for the
Yes,
thumb, for
that's what you
the
do.
fidget spinner, right? How many people wouldn't do that? Okay, so here's where it's going to get weird. Or here's where this is what I wanted to ask you and ask Ben too.
Okay.
How many people do you think out there that are successful, like Bill Gates, like Mark Zuckerberg, like I don't know, you just pick. Everybody knows
Elon Musk?
Elon Musk. Those guys maybe not a good example, but it'll
They're
work.
all
It'll work for
pretty
this.
smart.
I know they kind of made their own
Kind of smarty
progress.
pants. You're talking about somebody who actually just ended up doing well with an opportunity.
Right. Somebody.
How about the guy that invented, do you remember when those sunscreens came out for cars and they were just foldable cardboard and you would put them in your windshield?
Yeah, right.
That was such a simple invention. And on one side you'd have like a sunset or Hawaii or whatever. And on the other side it would say, help, please call police. And it was spelled correctly. And
That's right.
nobody ever
seen
called
those.
the police.
I haven't seen those
but
for so long.
that was like this invention that, why hadn't anybody thought of that before?
Okay, so let's take that for example,
I
right?
grew up in the Central Valley. Those things were a godsend. It was so hot.
And the other side always said, "Please send for help," right? And no one
nobody
ever
would
sent
do.
help. So Ben, and I'm asking Drea this. So let's just say that guy who came up with the sign that you put in your windshield, right, to block sun out on one end, and it says, "Please call for help" on the other. Simple invention, right? If you could go back
What's
in
it
time,
called, a sunscreen?
Yeah, sunscreen.
Well, just the thing you put in the window of your car to keep the sun out. It used to be, originally when they first came out, they were just these sort of accordion type of pieces of cardboard that you would fold and then you would unfold into your windshield. But they weren't all this high-tech loopy thingies, right? It was just really a simple
Those are
piece.
high-tech?
Compared to the pieces of cardboard that folded like
Yeah.
an accordion,
Oh,
yeah, those are high-tech.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah,
Come
you
on.
could twist them and turn them and put them in your back pocket. These things were big and bulky, but they blocked the sun. And why hadn't, or how about suitcases with wheels? We didn't come up with
Good.
suitcases with wheels until the 70s or the 80s
that's sort
or
of a
something?
no-brainer.
Well,
yeah,
okay,
but
so-
forever, ever, right?
Somebody got rich off it, Ben. So what if you had a chance to go and meet yourself and back in the past? What would you give yourself? What would you do?
A fidget spinner.
I said that when you were.
That's
you were
okay.
he was
Let's run.
answering the phone.
Let's run with
Yeah.
that example. Perfect. Okay, because that's a very simple invention. So Ben, you go back in time and you say, "Hey, stupid kid, someday I want you to keep this, and someday you're going to make this and you're going to put a patent on it and you're going to become rich." Kind of like Biff did. Remember when he went back in time and gave that guy his
sports almanac.
His sports almanac, right? But forget that. We're talking about real life. You go back in time and you give yourself this little fidget spinner, and you say you're going to put a patent on this, and then you become rich. Okay?
Wait. So in real life, you would give yourself a fidget spinner instead of a sports almanac?
In real life, I would go back in time and give myself a fidget spinner. Yes.
In real life, I'd give myself a sports almanac.
I would too.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
It's
go.
a lot easier than
All right,
inventing a toy.
Let's go with the sports almanac thing.
All right.
How many people? No, let's go with the fidget spinner. We have to go with
Make
the
up
fidget
your mind, dude.
Now,
Can we go back in time and tell ourselves which topic to go with?
Yeah, where should we go,
I'm trying to
Dave?
get to the topic now.
Dave, get in your time travel. We'll
Here
go
we
back
go.
and we'll
Do
start
you want to hear
over.
about the most bizarre phone call?
Yeah.
Is that what you were?
Oh yeah.
You were talking forever. Yeah. What is
That
it?
was weird.
What is it?
You want me to distract you more from the topic?
No, wait. Okay, let me finish this first.
Okay.
Here's the question that I want to ask, and it took so long to ask this question. How many of you think that Mark Zuckerberg or any of these guys out there are time travelers? And they cheated. They went back into. They somehow got access to a time machine, went back in time, and hey, you know what? I created the internet. What do you know? I created Facebook. Huh, how do you like that? And it's like, you know what? Something's not right. there.
Perfectly honest, I have no idea how Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg are so successful. It seems to me like what he invented was already out there.
MySpace was there, right?
Yeah,
but MySpace
MySpace,
missed the
there's
opportunity probably
Friendster.
for the market, for the marketing.
You see what I'm saying? So what if he went back
All of
in
my-
time?
I just know all of my friends when I was young were on MySpace,
Mhm.
and now all of a sudden we're all on Facebook.
Yeah, MySpace
Something
is-
happened.
MySpace
I'm not
is
sure what.
gone, isn't it?
What if he did go back in time and said, "Hey, this is what you need to do. This is what's going to give you the edge over blah blah blah," and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he
just-
went back in time and told him what the marketing secret to get ahead of MySpace was, but yeah, I just remember MySpace was huge one day, and then Facebook was the crazy.
So let's assume for the same practice that time travel is an inevitability. Damn it!
Inevitability.
It is an
That's a tough
inevitability.
one. Inevitability.
Okay.
Wow. Lots of syllables in that.
Assuming that it is possible, then it is inevitable.
But if we're assuming that it is possible, wouldn't someone have already come back in time?
That's what I keep
I'm telling
saying.
you. That's what I'm telling you. These guys who
Somehow.
are rich.
No,
Is that blowing your minds at that
No,
point?
I said it so many times. If their time travel exists, then we would know by now because they would have traveled.
But they're
back
not
in
going to tell
time.
you.
How do you know?
Because that would give up their secret.
But wouldn't I go visit myself?
But what's the
Why
point of
haven't I
keeping?
visited myself yet?
And what's the point of keeping a secret from people in the past?
Because they'll kill you for it, dude. If I took that, if you took that computator with you, Drea, and you
Yeah.
took it back into 1975 when
People would be terrified.
They would be terrified, but they'd be coming after you to get that thing.
There'd be absolutely nothing to get on there because there's no internet. There would be nothing to see.
But just to see the technology.
That's true.
You're assuming
How
that this
thin
is
it
just
is.
one individual who has the power to time travel.
Yes.
I'm talking about. Well, so I think that'll happen, right?
Yeah,
if
probably.
If an individual invents time travel, then they'll share it with other people around them at the time, right?
Maybe.
And then it'll probably become common.
Maybe, I don't know.
At some point, it'll be more than just this one person who can time travel.
Maybe it's starting with the
it would
chickens.
seem, again,
I bet
inevitable.
It's
Yeah.
the chickens. The chickens are probably going to be the beta testing for time travel with their virtual reality headsets.
I would
think
say-
they just have headsets, but they're actually time traveling.
I would say if we're seriously considering a hypothetical universe in which time travel has been invented, at some point time traveling is going to become common, and at that point they'll go back in time and say, "Hey, we invented time travel. Here's the cure for cancer."
So time's linear, and you can just travel along it.
Well, in this hypothetical,
Okay, this is weird.
You wanna
I don't
hear
want.
about the phone
I
call?
feel very uncomfortable.
I bet that phone call was weirder.
I bet that's them calling back.
I know. That's
No,
why.
they were calling on the office line, and they did not want to get on the air.
Why did they call then?
So, this was a person, and I later found out that they were calling from Atlanta.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure they didn't intend to call us at all. But anyway, this was a man who was calling. He said that his son's wife, who was a Muslim woman, had eaten a product at a restaurant or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they had later found out that, so the restaurant told them that it was 100% beef. They later found out that there was pork in this product that she had eaten. And he was calling us to find out what he should do.
Wow.
Yeah.
What advice did you give him?
Well, I said, if they lied to you and they told you one thing and that wasn't true, then that's fraud. You could take them to court. He was also asking though what his son's wife could do religiously to cleanse herself.
What?
And
I
was just like,
I missed the beginning of this. Answering the phone.
So she's a Muslim woman and she potentially ate some pork. Yeah. And I basically told him, you know what, I don't know anything about the
What does
religious
that
aspect.
mean?
I don't.
She's gonna be fine though. She's not gonna physically have ailments.
Oh yeah, I don't think so.
No, she shouldn't.
But she wants to religiously cleanse herself? He was asking you how she should do that?
That's what he was asking me. I basically had nothing for him on that. Yeah, that's the weirdest phone call we've got today.
So he called from Atlanta to tell you that his wife had possibly eaten
His
some
son's
pork.
wife.
His son's wife had possibly eaten some pork. What should he do?
Yeah, basically, and I think he had us confused with like a radio station over there or something like that, because he was basically calling and saying, yeah, it seems like you guys ask some pretty good questions, so I was wondering what you guys would think. Yeah. Anyway.
We could throw it out there to our
That
audience,
is-
479-1080. I mean,
I don't think it'll help
what
anything.
could you do?
I don't think he's actually listening to us. I'm just saying that is the weirdest phone call that we've received
What are you
today.
supposed to do about that? That's
I don't know. What can you do?
nothing. You digest it and get on with your life.
You tell
Not
everyone
if
on the
you're
radio.
Muslim. If
That's
you're
what you
Muslim,
do.
I mean, I think they take it a little more seriously
You
than
go
that.
talk to your
priest,
It's not a
or your
priest.
imam, or whatever. Who are they?
Yeah, no, I
Imam,
keep-
clerics, some sort of cleric.
The Jewish religion,
Is
a
cleric?
lot,
Does
a lot
cleric?
of people don't eat pork or shellfish.
I don't know. 479-1080. Let's get out to the phone lines. Who's on line one?
That is the Bill.
Bill?
The Billy.
The Bill?
The Billy. The
Oh,
Billy. The
the
Bill.
Bill, that guy.
Bill. The Billy. Sunshine.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Billy.
So, by the way, I really enjoyed being alone with you yesterday. That was fun.
I enjoyed being alone with him on Tuesday.
When you say it like that, Billy, I don't appreciate it. But
When do
it
I
was
get my
fun.
alone time with
That's why I
Dave?
say it that way.
Just the two of
So,
us.
first of all, for the woman who ate the pork unknowingly, your soul is still pure, darling. You didn't do it on purpose. You had no idea, so you have no need to cleanse yourself. What you do want to do is make it public to your other Islamic people of your faith that restaurant can't be trusted. That's the extent of it. And then beyond that, leave it go. You don't want to sue. You don't want to be involved. You just want to walk away and keep the pure heart that you have. So that's for her.
And don't eat it.
What do you think of that? Right?
I'm surprised
Yeah.
that advice came from Billy Sunshine.
Me too.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm a surprising
He's a
kind of guy.
I
What
would
was
have
the thing you were
expected him to
talking about
say,
right before
sue
that,
and
though?
blame it on Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. What was it? You were talking about the time travel.
Yes.
Right, there you go. So here's what I would do if I had a time machine. I would, in fact, keep it to myself for a while. And then what I would do is I would go back in time and set myself up as a god. I would go to very primitive people and show up and do amazing things and leave behind idols with my face
Have like
on
some
them.
card tricks or something.
Yeah, whatever was necessary. You know, show up at the time of a when I knew there was a solar eclipse.
Bugs Bunny did that.
And say, "I am God. I will darken the sun," and then just continue to do that and be treated as a god. And then I would just visit those times and allow myself to have all the best food, the best women, and because I'm a god, I get everything, and that's what I would do. How do you like that?
I would expect nothing less of you, Billy.
Yeah,
than,
sounds
than to do that.
very for
Very
you.
godlike.
Yes,
Yeah.
very for you. I'm glad that you didn't do that because I don't know what kind of world we live in if you were to.
How do you know I haven't?
Whether you
Actually,
living the
time
life of
travel
a god
is
right now?
impossible. The bad news is this is a fun conversation, but time travel is impossible. It never will happen.
How do you know?
All right, Billy. Not with that attitude.
I
alone.
just understand, certain basic physics.
Right? I mean, having a positive attitude. I mean,
Yeah, and
you got to believe that you can do it. Otherwise, no one's
Yeah,
even going to try, Billy.
Billy, you just got yourself uninvited from my time
Get out of
travel
here.
Travel
trip.
time.
479-1080. Call us again yesterday. Let's see what else we have here.
Billy.
What was I gonna? I was gonna type something in. Billy was bringing up something. I don't know.
Well, he said that he was going to go back in time and trick ancient people into thinking he was a god. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, it does.
Kind of
Guys,
terrifying.
I still can't think of what I was gonna say. Let's go to our text messages here.
Oh yeah, are there any spelling errors?
Let's see. Time travel is real. Most of it is envisioning the future, though. That's the secret of time travel. See the future using what you know from the past.
Huh.
That sounds like a platitude.
Yeah, that sounds like a premonition or something.
One of my favorite.
That's not time traveling.
Yeah, reach for the stars.
Time traveling is if you physically move your body from one time period to another.
Ooh, check this one out. This one is a little more along the lines of what I was looking for. Maybe a third-party time traveler is leaking tech selectively to human individuals. Maybe the time travelers leak tech to steer society a certain direction. Maybe they have an agenda.
I've heard something like that.
Billy has a fan out there.
What do they say?
Our caller said he's going to time travel and go look for his grandfather. So, Billy, watch out.
Yeah.
You might start disappearing. Oh, look. You can see right through me. What's happening? What's happening? Yeah. That means time travel.
4791080, DM at ksco.com. Oh, man, we have less than a minute. Boulder Creek. Boulder Creek Camp is the latest scene of the outbreak of the norovirus, which is being dealt with up there.
I think I heard the news. So we're in Santa Clara County as well, right?
Yeah, right. Norovirus is generally a mild illness that causes nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, and can last from 1 to 3 days. Santa Cruz County Health Department on Thursday alerted residents to a significant norovirus outbreak that has already sickened 28 students plus staff at a Boulder Creek camp. More than 1,200 cases have been reported in Yolo County schools and at least 200 students in the San Jose Unified School District, according to Health Department
200 students in the school district?
Yeah, in San Jose. The primary danger from the norovirus sickness is dehydration, which in some cases can lead to hospitalization. People with vomiting and or diarrhea should stay home for 48 hours after the symptoms have stopped.
Yes, don't go to work because you're still contagious and you get everybody else sick. So don't go to school, don't go to work. And if your company fires you because of that, then sue them. In that case, I'm sue happy because that's just not fair.
4791080. We're going to break for CBS News. We'll be right back.
Reporters today and addressed a string of controversies that have rocked the White House. CBS's Stephen Portnoy reports.
Does anybody have any questions?
It was his first news conference in 4 weeks, and Mr. Trump was asked about the stories that have dominated the headlines for days. Did he pressure James Comey to drop the investigation into his fired national security advisor?
No. Next question.
What does he think of the decision to appoint a special counsel?
I think it divides the country.
Again, insisting his campaign never colluded with Russia. Mr. Trump says it's time to, quote, get back to the great things his administration is doing. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, the White House.
Well, the president said there was no collusion between his campaign and Russia. There were a lot of contacts. Sources say people linked to the Trump campaign may have been coordinating with the Russians as far back as April 2016. CBS's Jeff Pegues has more.
A former U.S. government official tells CBS News you could see the hallmarks throughout, including conversations picked up by electronic intercepts. Some of the contacts appeared to be business-related or innocuous, but sources tell CBS News investigators also discovered multiple contacts that were cause for concern.
One person was killed and nearly 24 injured when a car plowed into a crowded pedestrian area in New York's Times Square today.
I looked down on my phone for a minute or two, and next thing you know, boom, like it was like a big old, like a bomb or something like an explosion.
The driver, 26-year-old Navy veteran Richard Rojas, was quickly taken into custody. CBS's Michelle Miller was in Times Square.
Rojas, a former member of the Navy, is being tested for drugs and alcohol. Police say he has 2 prior DWI arrests.
Eyewitnesses tell us if not for those metal posts now underneath that car, there would have been many more injuries, even deaths. They were erected shortly after terrorists overseas began using cars and trucks as weapons of mass destruction.
A rock voice quieted.
Black hole sun, won't you come?
Soundgarden singer Chris Cornell was found dead in his hotel room after performing at a concert in Detroit. Authorities say he hanged himself. Grief-stricken fans are leaving flowers at memorials across Seattle, including at the Soundgarden art sculpture, for which the band was named. The FCC is moving ahead with a plan to scrap net neutrality. CNET's Roger Cheng on what that could mean to companies and consumers.
By removing some of these rules, it definitely opens the door for some scary scenarios. Imagine an AT&T or Comcast charging Netflix for higher fees to make sure their video feeds come in to your homes faster. Ultimately, Netflix could take those feeds and turn them around to you.
The Dow picked up 56 points today and NASDAQ gained 43. This is CBS News.
Wouldn't it be great if you could stop crime before it happens? With the Ring Floodlight Cam, you can. I'm Jamie Siminoff, inventor and founder of Ring. Floodlight Cam is a motion-activated HD security camera that connects right to your phone, so you're alerted when anyone steps onto your property. You can now see, speak, or even sound an alarm right from your phone, anywhere, anytime. Does your floodlight prevent crime? Ours does. Go to ring.com/advantage and save $150 off of a Ring of Security kit. That's ring.com/advantage.
Finding great people to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's time to try ZipRecruiter, where 80% of jobs get a qualified candidate in just one day. How? Using powerful technology, ZipRecruiter matches your job to the right candidates fast. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/talk for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/talk.
The number of mixed-race marriages in the U.S. is up dramatically.
I'm Gary Nunn. 17% of all newly married couples now have a spouse of a different race or ethnicity. Pew researcher Gretchen Livingston.
That number is about 5 times higher than the share of newlyweds around 1967.
The most dramatic increases in intermarriages have occurred among African American newlyweds, and
almost 3 in 10 newlyweds are married to someone of a different race or ethnicity.
50 years ago, 3% of newlyweds were intermarried. Gary Nunn, CBS News.
A Long Beach, California man who threw a boy's assistance dog off a balcony has been sentenced to almost 4 years in prison. 24-year-old Jose Herrera pleaded no contest to felony animal cruelty. Prosecutors say he tossed a Chihuahua named Pearl that belonged to his ex-girlfriend's 10-year-old special needs brother off the balcony. Pearl said to be recovering. Pam Coulter, CBS News.
Wouldn't it be great if you could stop crime before it happens? With the Ring Floodlight Cam, you can. I'm Jamie Siminoff, inventor and founder of Ring. Floodlight Cam is a motion-activated HD security camera that connects right to your phone, so you're alerted when anyone steps onto your property. You can now see, speak, or even sound an alarm right from your phone, anywhere, anytime. Does your floodlight prevent crime? Ours does. Go to ring.com/advantage and save $150 off of a Ring of Security kit. That's ring.com/advantage.
This is Charles Husband. Olivet Nazarene University believes that an education unlocks a person's potential. They believe an educated person has a positive impact on his or her community. They believe that education is not something to be contained, but imparted to the world. They believe in you. Learn more at graduate.olivet.edu. Olivet Nazarene University. From where you are to where you will be.
You're listening to AM 1080 KSEO Santa Cruz, AM 1340 KOMY, La Selva Beach, Watsonville. The time is now 6:06. Hopefully there's no traffic to report, but we'll check it anyways. Nah. Highway 1 southbound stop and go all the way into Aptos from Santa Cruz. A little further down the roadway, southbound 1 at Salinas Road slows down to about 10 miles per hour. It will stay that way until you cross over the harbor. Heading into Seaside, speed's about 10 miles per hour near the 218 connector. 101 southbound through Coyote Valley, topping out at 10 miles per hour. Tonight's weather forecast, mostly clear conditions are expected. Lows will be around 50 degrees. Tomorrow should be sunny. Highs will be in the mid-70s. Small craft advisory out on the Monterey Bay tonight. West winds as well, 15 to 25 knots, becoming east 10 knots after midnight. Wind waves 3 to 4 feet, becoming 2 feet or less, and west swells 5 to 7 feet at 9 seconds. 67 degrees outside KSEO studios. The time is now 6:07. Headlines up next. Phil Deseth standing by, so we're going to hand it over to him. Take it away, Phil.
Thanks, Dave, and good afternoon, Central Coast. Watsonville police held a press conference earlier this afternoon about the recent arrest of a Santa Cruz neurosurgeon and 2 nurses. Police Chief David Honda spoke about what prompted the investigation.
Information and video that showed several adults engaging in lewd acts with children as young as 3 years old. We immediately launched a full criminal investigation. Suspect Rochelle Brandon was quickly identified within several hours and was arrested at her home in the city of Watsonville. Second suspect was identified as Emily Stevens. Suspect Stevens was arrested in the state of Arizona. Detectives identified a third suspect, Suspect James Kohut. They established probable cause to arrest Suspect Kohut And in the early morning hours of Sunday, May 14th, detectives arrested Kohut at his house in Santa Cruz, California.
Authorities have also taken 7 children from California and Arizona into protective custody. A man was arrested in a stolen vehicle in Santa Cruz on Tuesday. Police received a report of the stolen vehicle at about 7:38 a.m. on the 1100 block, that is, of Pacific Avenue. About an hour later, officers spotted the vehicle on River Street. The driver, 42-year-old Philip Penn, was arrested for auto theft. Police say auto theft is on the rise and encourage the public to use the following tips. Never leave your car running and unattended or leave the keys in the vehicle. Never hide a spare key to the car on the vehicle or outside of it. And park in well-lit and highly visible areas and don't leave valuables in plain view. Multiple traffic officers have teamed up with Scotts Valley Police in an effort to reduce aggressive driving. Beginning today, the SVPD started hosting Badges, a county-wide program targeting aggressive drivers in designated areas. All cell phone, seatbelt, and speeding violations will be strictly enforced. And a man was arrested for shooting into an occupied residence and burglary yesterday in Watsonville, Tavia Avila reports.
The first incident took place around 12:20 p.m. on the 100 block of Clifford Avenue. Witnesses reported that several shots were fired into their home. A few hours later, a resident reported a burglary a few houses away from the shooting. The suspect, 22-year-old Andre Lopez, was arrested after officers located evidence linking him to the shooting and burglaries. This is Tavia Avila for KSCO Radio News.
And previously unexploded ordnances were exploded yesterday on a weapons range on the former Fort Ord. Susan Simon has more on that.
The blast reportedly caused 3 large clouds of smoke. The munitions were gathered as part of the base cleanup that has been going on the National Monument for years now. For KSCO, this is Susan Simon.
And the Santa Cruz City Hall property at 810 Center Street is now unavailable as a sleeping area for the homeless. City administrators closed it to the public for the hours between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. on weekdays and all weekends. They changed the property's designation from an open access park to office grounds because of complaints about homeless populations increasingly being aggressive towards city workers and members of the public. It's 6:11, time to get back to Flight 1080. I'm Phil Deeseth for KSCO Radio.
Hello, this is Travis, Marine Corps veteran and volunteer with Vets for Vets Santa Cruz. Vets for Vets Santa Cruz is a community of veterans and their supporters who offer assistance to our local veterans. We are teaming up with the USBC to sponsor the Pat Pratt Memorial Bowling Tournament this Saturday, May 20th at the Boardwalk Bowl starting at noon. Teams must pre-register at the Boardwalk Bowl for this no-tap doubles tournament. Cost is $40 per team, with the proceeds going to benefit the veterans of Santa Cruz County. So come out and bowl.
Hey, buddy, it's me, your laptop. That's right, your little modern marvel of technology you've been abusing for months. Dude, we need to talk. Do you really think that those free PC Fix-It programs are any match for today's spyware and malware? Not to mention the NSA and some of those websites you've been visiting. Now, I'm not here to judge, I'm just saying. You need to take me to Peter and the friendly staff at User Friendly Computing to get me back into tip-top shape.
Tired of unfriendly computer support, slow computer, viruses, spyware? No problem. Call the friendly computer experts at User Friendly Computing. We take care of all your PC, Macintosh, and laptop needs. Mention KSCO and get a free $50 diagnostic. Visit us today at 505 River Street on the way to downtown Santa Cruz, across from Gateway Plaza. We give you a choice. Drop your computer by the shop, or we'll come to you. Call us today at 423-9653. User Friendly Computing.
Rush Limbaugh.
There is a consensus
of agreement among the American people that this is not only the most listened to program, but by virtue of that, it is also the most right. It is also the most accurate. It is also the most correct. People who disagree with this are Rush deniers. A consensus of the American people, ladies and gentlemen, has made me not only the most listened to radio talk show host in America, but it also the most accurate.
Rush Limbaugh, 9 to noon, weekdays right here on KSCO.
This portion of programming brought to you in part by Dignity Health, including Dignity Health Medical Group Dominican and Dominican Hospital. This open enrollment, choose a plan that includes Dignity Health. For more information, visit dominicanopenenrollment.org. Dignity Health. Hello, human kindness.
From Paso Tiempo to Pebble Beach, Red Hot News Talk, AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz.
Four 479-1080. You're listening to Flight 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz. All right, let's get back to this norovirus thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm busy here.
Now
I think Susan's right, because now I'm looking. We were talking about in the break. We were talking about burgers and secret menus and stuff, and Susan says that by the third hour we're always talking about food all the time. And now I'm sitting here and I'm looking up the secret. The secret In-N-Out burger menu. So I have to go to the airport after this, and so we're like, "Oh, go to there." Go.
I was
here.
telling Ben that In-N-Out got surpassed as a number one, as a favorite fast food joint by Five Guys. Yeah.
You know what? There's a lot of people who are saying after like Donald Trump got elected, that's it. I'm leaving the country. I don't want to be. I'm leaving the country. I don't want to live in a country that doesn't appreciate In-N-Out burger.
In-N-Out is good.
And you think you're going to go somewhere else and they're going to be appreciated more? In-N-Out
they're
burger?
not even in any.
Don't ruin this for me.
Are they in other countries? Or are they even in other countries, or is it just
I don't think so.
United States?
I guarantee you that In-N-Out is still the favorite burger of California, though.
They used to slaughter their bumper stickers, as you guys know.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It's terrible. In-N-Out burger.
Yeah.
Figure it out, Ben. Think about the B.
All right.
And the R. I'll
just
take care of it.
Who's on one?
What's on second? Rick. In Boulder Creek.
You're in the air.
You guys out there?
Right, we're right here, Rick.
We're with you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hey, listen, you guys are a bunch. Don't you realize? The Hill people know what's going on. When you wake up in the morning and you feel a little bit of something in your throat, or you do that, you go into the bathroom, you gargle with the old-time Listerine, and you don't get sick. You guys gotta. What's wrong with this?
The old-time Listerine.
So you're saying that Listerine is the cure for the norovirus?
The old-time Listerine that makes everybody feel lousy. The old-time alcohol Listerine. All you got to do is gargle with that. I mean, I had that 2 or 3 days ago, and I'm healthy as a horse.
That's how you know you don't get the
That's how you know it works.
And I tell everybody in Joe's bar in Boulder Creek, and nobody gets sick. I mean, you guys, there's something wrong with you people down in the far end of the valley.
Well, I'm not sick. I mean, not
well,
ill.
If you start gargling with Listerine, you'll be fine.
I'm gonna get right to it. Can you make a gargle sound?
108. No, I can't do it. Can't do it. So the Listerine he's talking about is that orange funky one, right?
It's brownish, sort of, isn't it? When I was in Europe, actually, they would give you a fruit brandy. Like a Slivovitz or something that's similar to, I don't know if you guys know grappa, which is made out of stems and skins of grapes after they make wine. It's that kind of thing. It's a brandy, which means you can take apricots and you distill them, basically. You let them rot for a little while, and then you distill them, and you have a clear liquor, like you have vodka from potatoes or whatnot.
47910. You know, we're talking about the norovirus striking a camp up in Boulder Creek. It started in the Bay Area, or up in Sacramento, right?
It started in Sacramento?
Mhm.
Okay, I think I last read about Santa Clara.
I think we might be confusing two different things.
The gargling.
Are you talking about the gas station nachos?
Yeah. Oh, this is
that's botulism.
Oh,
That's
botulism.
different. What are you spreading here?
Yeah, the other one was
Watch
Yolo
it.
County, right? Yolo County.
Yeah,
had
Yolo County, and I think isn't San Jose School District or
Right,
something
yeah,
like
they have
that.
the
There was a
norovirus,
bunch of cases of this norovirus. Up in Sacramento, though, I believe there's 5 cases.
9 cases.
9 cases?
Yeah. Or 5
Yeah.
confirmed, 4
Okay.
probable.
Yeah, and I think the worst case is this woman who I believe has been paralyzed for almost a month
now. Oh, my goodness. Well, I found something on the...
She was putting nacho cheese in her Doritos. You know, I don't know if they do that here in
Don't
Santa
they already
Cruz, but
sell nacho cheese Doritos?
yeah, Ben, but that's not the good stuff. You go to 7-Eleven, you buy the nachos, you open up the bag, you pour cheese in there, and then you go and
The
eat
faux
it.
cheese, right?
Yeah, the
kind
the
that's
fake
really
cheese.
just that drips and
You
made
know
out
what?
of oil.
You know what my mom called it when I was a kid?
What?
Because I always wanted it. You
Uh-huh.
know, snot cheese.
Yeah, because it came sprayed out of the thing.
Oh, Ben, that's gross, dude.
So I found something, though.
Gross.
5 things to know about norovirus.
Isn't it kind of accurate though?
Maybe we should
gross.
do a little community information. What do you think? Since
Yes,
it's
yes,
Boulder Creek
absolutely.
and stuff. This is from the Sacramento Bee, and obviously, I don't know when this was printed. I'm looking. Hundreds of students in Sacramento and Yolo counties have come down with norovirus, a highly contagious gastrointestinal illness, in recent days. Yolo County health officials report 2,091 cases of norovirus, while Sacramento County has seen suspected cases in 6 school districts. Here's some more information on the virus. Number 1, noroviruses are the most common cause of acute stomach and intestinal infections in the United States, reports the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. It's also sometimes called the stomach flu, viral gastroenteritis, or the winter vomiting bug. That's a nice...
Winter?
The winter vomiting bug. What do you have? Oh,
Springtime.
I have the winter vomiting bug. Well, like I said, I'm not sure about this article when it was written, and I'm assuming it was... Anyway, that's another name for it when it comes down to that. Hold on, I lost it.
Does it give you diarrhea?
Yeah, it does. Gives you the runs.
Squirts.
Sometimes called the winter vomiting bug. The U.S. reports 19 million to 21 million cases a year. Humans are the only hosts of the virus.
Oh.
So we're the only ones.
Can't blame animals for this one.
The virus was formerly known as the Norwalk virus because the first known outbreak took place at an elementary school in Norwalk, Ohio, according to norovirus.com. Scientists identified the virus in 1972 from school samples stored after the outbreak. It was officially renamed norovirus by the International Committee of Taxonomy and Viruses in 2002.
Taxonomy?
Taxonomy.
You mean the people that
I think so. I'm looking
fill
at it.
dead animals with stuff and...
That sucks. I did spell check. I did a look up taxonomy, and it didn't find that word. So. Taxonomy, the branch of science concerned with classification, especially of organisms and systematics. So you're talking about bugs, like viruses, like the actual cellular aspect of it, and that's why it ends up with them.
Aren't taxidermists the guys who will stuff your cat for you, though?
Yes, that's a taxidermist, but that's not necessarily the study of taxonomy. You know, like a pediatrician and a podiatrist. Those are two different things, but they're very close.
What do you want from me? I never learned how to spell.
This is true. Nor did you find any reason to, right?
Except for now.
So good hygiene is the key to avoiding the norovirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water, particularly after using the bathroom and before preparing food. Alcohol-based cleaners are not as effective. The site also advises carefully throwing away contaminated items such as dirty diapers.
Ew.
Yeah, you don't wanna keep
don't
those
hang on
around.
to those dirty diapers, people. I know how much you
Yeah,
cherish
you get
them.
emotionally attached to them
Yeah,
sometimes. Yeah,
but you know what? It really is time to let go.
Let it
Throw
go.
those dirty diapers
Let
away.
it go. Let it go. Wash raw fruit and vegetables and cook oysters and other shellfish thoroughly. Clean and disinfect surfaces with a mixture of detergent and chlorine bleach after someone's sick. WebMD says, and if you have norovirus, don't prepare food for at least 2 to 3 days after you feel better. So if you got the norovirus and you're feeling better today and you're feeling better tomorrow, you shouldn't start cooking until Saturday.
Really?
2 to 3
That's
days,
a good,
maybe
that's a
even
good way.
Sunday.
Who's going to cook then? No
Ghostbusters.
one else cooks or cleans, right? We know that. No one else cooks or
Oh,
cleans. No one else
I
does
was
laundry.
complaining about that.
No
in
one else does
between.
dishes. It's me.
I know.
Who's going to take out the trash? Nobody.
I
Me.
was getting all snarky in the break, too.
No, I get it. I get it. I get exactly
Clean
what you're
that kitchen
saying.
again. Load the dishwasher. Do something about this. Drive me crazy. Anyway, cruise ships, nursing homes, daycare centers, and, of course, schools are common breeding grounds for norovirus. Anywhere large numbers of people are packed in close quarters, basically, reports the CDC. Outbreaks on cruise ships frequently make the news. Oh, that's a terrible thing. Oh, just imagine you're trapped on a ship and you get the norovirus.
Oh,
no,
man.
thank you. You have 4 people in a room and 1 little toilet and you're on a boat.
No way.
No, thank
Do
you.
you remember that cruise that got stranded?
Yes. Wasn't that Carnival or something? I can remember the that was awful.
I just remember sort of the similar problems that you were just describing about the number of people and the limited numbers of bathrooms.
Yes.
479
It's not
1080.
pleasant.
Let's head out to the phone lines.
Let's do that before we get more into bodily functions. and stuff like
Andres
that.
is calling from Royal Oaks. You're in the air.
I have some breaking news from yesterday, so it's not that breaking.
All right.
But not.
It's
an
some broken
article
news.
From broken news, formerly broken and shaken. Hopefully, there's a lot of people listening out there who are either millennials or baby boomers, because this came out of MarketWatch.com. A new study scientifically, once and for all, for now, proves that millennials are not as entitled as baby boomers. There was a poll done, and it shows that baby boomers have a higher opinion of what is deserved and entitled, what they're entitled to, than millennials. So
that makes sense.
That kind of goes contrary. Yeah, it goes contrary to what most boomers you hear either on the radio or in person or on TV. They say, "Oh, millennials, the snowflakes," but in all reality, when they were polled on 3 different things, how old do you think you need to be before you're independent on this or that? Millennials consistently answered on average 1 year before what baby boomers answered. So I sent a link to Dave in case you guys want to look at it on the text line.
Oh, cool.
And then on norovirus, I had that once a few years ago. There was an outbreak at work, and I went to the doctor, and I asked the doctor, what should I do? And then he said, you should just let it run its course. And then I heard a rim shot, in my head, because
literally, yeah.
You're like, oh, thanks for the advice.
Yeah, good joke.
Yeah, you want to come home with me and watch this happen? No, thank you. No, thank you. Well, viruses, that's the thing about viruses. Viruses, you have to wait through them, right? You just have to get through them, because there's antibiotics don't help viruses. It's just a matter of getting through it and trying to keep your fluids up. That's really important, because with the norovirus, you lose a lot of fluids. And when I was a kid, I was actually in the hospital because I got some sort of terrible stomach flu, and I almost died. And I was like a year and a half years old. Yeah, and they had IVs on me and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's dangerous if you dehydrate.
One good thing for the norovirus is maybe you take some BTT because you need to replace your minerals.
Yeah,
So-
and fluids too, because you're going to be dispersing fluids like crazy.
Yes.
479-1080. Thank you for the call, Andres.
So
DM at
we do have
KSCO.com.
lovely subjects, don't we?
Yes.
Yes.
I think
Fun
that
stuff.
study he was talking about was done by millennials.
Oh, I don't. Millennials don't have it that easy. Everybody thinks they have it easy.
No,
Look at
they-
the cost of
And
colleges.
the baby
look at
boomers screwed everything up.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they were really selfish.
I thought it was just
and
sort of
really greedy.
Yes.
And really detrimental to
They
the
screwed
planet.
everything up,
Yeah.
Ben. And
now you guys have
that
to
makes
fix
total
it.
sense. And now you guys are stuck, with housing that is absolutely unaffordable.
Or the environment. Look at what we're doing with the
Yeah,
environment. Holy
they
moly.
screwed up the environment. I mean, the baby boomers screwed up a lot of stuff.
No. Every
Yes.
generation is worse than the one before it, right?
Oh,
that's how it works.
No, I have
every
hope for you
generation is
guys.
more entitled, and
It's
every
Ben,
generation is
a
lazier.
better way to look at it is the pendulum.
Every new
Yes.
generation's music sucks, and they're all obsessed with sex.
Well, that's true. Well, the first part was
sex
true.
has been obsessed for thousands of years. I mean, that's
No,
nothing new.
but every generation is more obsessed with sex, don't you
Yeah,
know?
No, we should just get over all this stuff. I think. So,
Let me tell you, I mean, I walk around by preschools and stuff like that, and I yell at the next generation.
You do.
Yeah, you lazy bums, stop pooping on yourselves.
Stop playing. Take out your own diapers.
A newspaper is
Get
reporting
a job, you preschoolers.
a
Learn
woman
to write.
looking for a
You have to
kitchen
support
accessory.
me already.
You call that spelling?
A woman looking for a kitchen accessory
No,
to
I
grind
actually
rosemary.
go by there. Sorry, Dave. I go by there and I tell them to stop learning to spell.
Okay.
Because, you know,
It's making
spelling's
you look
useless.
bad. What do you mean that's how you spell cat? Oh, I didn't know that.
I can't have preschoolers spelling better than me.
I'll get you a Dr. Seuss book. I'll get you the Cat in the Hat and maybe the one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. Maybe a little green eggs and ham.
When you think
Something
of
like that.
herb grinders,
Help your spelling skills.
Oh, this is hilarious.
when you think of herb grinders,
What kind of herb are you grinding?
What kind of?
Well, you can do grind all sorts of spices. You can also grind cannabis, and you can also grind all sorts of things.
A woman looking
seeds
for a
and
kitchen
whatnot.
accessory to grind rosemary accidentally bought a device to grind marijuana instead.
Oh.
Yeah, she was not happy. She said the
Whoa.
rosemary just fell right through. She started complaining that it was impossible to find the rosemary.
Yeah. Oh.
She finally figured out what was going on. She says, thanks, weed industry.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. She says she wishes the weed industry would find a new name for the devices so that she doesn't have to sort through 89,679,376 products just to find a real spice grinder.
Well, okay. I'm going to do the little
Just
thing. I'm
shopping
going
on
to say
Amazon,
she's
by the way.
looking for a spice grinder,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to put the word rosemary in there.
But, I mean, if your rosemary...
I have results right here. There's a microplane herb mill. So there. Took me how many seconds?
So
0.53
she's
seconds
just
for
obviously-
Google. For Google to find.
I still don't understand why you couldn't just use a weed grinder for herbs.
It
or
doesn't
for
work.
Spices.
No, rosemary won't work that way. There's all those holes and it slips right through. It needs to be a different kind of grinder. You need to grind it up. Like you
But
can't.
can't you just collect it from where it falls through?
But it's not ground.
Yeah, it is.
It won't. That won't grind very well. Not rosemary.
are we
Rosemary's
listening to?
oily and long-leafed.
Well, I mean,
I'll try it.
we
I'm
should
sure
play
you
this for
have
the
one
gnats
at home.
outside.
Take some rosemary, put it in, and see what happens.
Yeah, but then I couldn't grind weed in it.
Yeah, it would taste terrible. It smelled good, though.
Smell good.
Yeah, that's true.
4791080.
I like this kind of thing. It's sort of chill. I think we should play this for the gnats outside.
That's what I was saying, right? Play this for the gnats. You know what they're doing out there if you're driving or bicycling or running through a big cloud of gnats. You know what they're doing.
If you are driving by the station,
Yeah.
roll up your windows.
Yeah, there are lots of gnats.
Or else you'll have some horny gnats in there.
Yeah.
4791080. We're going to break for CBS News. We'll get to the other stuff on the other side. Oh, we only got a half hour
I
left.
can't believe it's
CBS
flying
News,
again
followed by
today.
Phil D. Seth, local
You're
news.
doing
traffic
great
weather.
with this plane, Dave.
Thank you.
A day after the Deputy Attorney General appointed a special counsel to investigate Russia's meddling in the U.S. election and ties to the Trump campaign, President Trump had this to say about it.
I respect the move, but the entire thing has been a witch hunt, and there is no collusion between certainly myself and my campaign, but I can always speak for myself and the Russians, zero.
CBS's Margaret Brennan.
The White House last night was saying that this was something they welcomed because it would show what the president has always said, that there was no collusion. Today, he's challenging the fact that it is happening at all, but said, well, you'll get to that conclusion anyway. Once again, saying there's no evidence of collusion between him and Russia.
When asked if he ever urged former FBI Director James Comey to lay off the Michael Flynn investigation as apparently detailed in a Comey memo, Mr. Trump said no. CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
You're listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz at 6:32. Time for local headlines. Here's Phil D. Seth.
Thanks, Dave, and good evening, Central Coast. A Santa Cruz neurosurgeon and 2 nurses are accused of raping children younger than 10 years old. Watsonville police reported that 57-year-old James Kohut had affairs with a Dominican hospital ICU nurse, 42-year-old Rochelle Brandon of Watsonville, and a second nurse, 29-year-old Emily Stephens, and that children were abused during their sexual encounters. According to an arrest warrant, Brandon's husband found a tape showing his wife and Stephens committing sex acts together against children. Although all 3 suspects worked in hospitals, police found no evidence that any crimes occurred in a medical facility. If convicted of the charges against them, Brandon, Stephens, and Kohut are facing life in prison. A man was arrested for shooting into an occupied residence and for burglary yesterday in Watsonville. The first incident took place around 12:20 p.m. on the 100 block of Clifford Avenue. Witnesses reported that several shots were fired into their home. A few hours later, a resident reported a burglary a few houses away from the shooting. The suspect, 22-year-old Andre Lopez, was arrested after officers located evidence linking him to the shooting and burglaries. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife Services announced they have extended the duration of an emergency closure of the commercial rock crab fishery in Northern California. The emergency crab season closure is extended due to a neurotoxin. The area impacted is north of Pigeon Point in San Mateo County to the Oregon border. The closure of the commercial fishery will remain in effect until domoic acid levels no longer pose a public threat. It's 6:34. Time to get back to Flight 1080. I'm Phil Deseth for KSCO Radio.
Thank you, Phil. KSEO drive time 6:35. Let's see what's happening on there on your roadways. Oh, boy. Highway 1 is still slow moving, still stop and go from 41st Avenue into Aptos. Slowing down again in Moss Landing just after you make it past Salinas Road. Speeds will stay under 10 miles per hour until you cross over the harbor. Southbound 101 through Coyote Valley, 10 miles per hour. Your weather forecast for tonight, mostly clear. Lows should be around 50 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny. Highs will be around 75 degrees. And your boaters forecast for tonight includes a small craft advisory, west winds 15 to 25 knots, becoming east 10 knots after midnight, wind waves 3 to 4 feet, becoming 2 feet or less, and west swells 5 to 7 feet at 9 seconds. The time is now 6:35, Flight 1080 back after this.
Hi, this is Nina Simon from the Ma, and I am thrilled to invite you to meet me in Abbott Square, a new community plaza in downtown Santa Cruz with 6 restaurants and 2 bars.
It's a place for me to perform.
And for me to dance.
To bring my family.
To meet my friends.
It's everything you love about the Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History, outside, admission free. Abbott Square opens in downtown Santa Cruz June 2nd through 9th with a week of igniting, exciting themed festivals each night. Learn more at abbottsquare.org.
Is your internet connection slow? Do you experience outages or dread calling customer support? How about your latency? Etheric Networks can help you. Etheric Networks is the Bay Area's locally owned alternative to DSL satellite and cable. Etheric provides fast, reliable, symmetric internet via our wholly owned network of towers covering the Bay Area from Salinas to Santa Cruz to Sausalito. We install a 2-foot dish on your building and point it to one of our towers to connect you directly to the major data centers of Silicon Valley. Etheric directly connects to Tier 1 companies like Google, Facebook, and Amazon to ensure high-quality service from your building to the world. KSCO Residential Special. Residential service up to 10 megabits per second, symmetric, that's up and down, for $85 a month and $199 installation, with guaranteed minimum speeds and uptime, unlike our competitors. Etheric Networks. Call 650-399-4200. That's 650-399-4200. Etheric.net. That's ETHERIC.net.
Every Saturday afternoon at 3, Nurse Jackie Tucker hosts Stepping In Radio, focused on health, wellness, and care for seniors and those battling chronic pain and other illnesses. Your questions and comments invited, regardless of social standing, economic status, or age. That's Stepping In. What resources are available for these special populations and those who care for them? Join Nurse Jackie Tucker to explore these questions and more on Stepping In, this Saturday at 3 on KSCO.
From Capitola to Carmel, Red Hot News Talk, AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz.
479-1080, DM at KSEO.com, 218-5726. You are listening to Flight 1080. 218-5726. Let's see what this is all about. For religious cleansing, visit Immaculate Waters on the internet. What is that about?
Somebody blesses water to make money.
Just kind of
somebody
Immaculate
taking
Water,
a Cheeto to look like Jesus,
local
or a
business,
piece of toast
total
to
racket
look
in my
like-
opinion. Oh, a total racket in his opinion.
Yeah, most likely.
Or her opinion. Doesn't matter. It doesn't
That's
say.
the thing. People get manipulated. That's one thing I don't
Total
really
racket.
like
What
about
is this,
religion
tennis?
is it manipulates you.
He must have been talking about that call that Ben got, right? It was from somebody who was, I'm assuming, Muslim.
Well, he
or
said
for some
that his
reason
son's
couldn't
wife had eaten pork accidentally
Right.
at a restaurant.
Yes.
She'd been deceived.
Ah.
She had been deceived, right? So they lied to her, said, no, this is not pork, and it really was.
100% beef.
And it was, how could you not tell the difference? I mean, the two meats don't look
My
anything alike.
great-great-grandmother once accidentally ate pork, and all she said was it's the best chicken she ever had. So a pork, people do like it, but she didn't notice. She gobbled it all
Pork
up.
is good, but it doesn't look or taste anything like beef.
That's true. Beef is
bizarre.
more like chickenish. Well, don't ask a pig that, though.
Somewhere between 15% and 40% of Americans, Drea, believe that our planet is only 10,000 years old.
Really?
Mm-hmm. In spite of the literal heaps of evidence that it is far older.
Mhm.
One such American, young Earth creationist Andrew Snelling, is suing the National Park Service for not letting him remove rocks from the canyon to study. The Grand Canyon I'm talking about. Snelling holds a Ph.D. in geology and has given lectures and guided biblical-themed rafting tours through the park.
It's a PhD. He has a PhD in what? Theology?
Geology.
So really rocks. Okay.
In rocks, yeah. He knows his rocks. He cites First Amendment
He
rights to
knows-
free speech and religious freedom. Fifth Amendment rights to due process and equal protection. The 2000 Religious Freedom Restoration Act and President Trump's executive order in May to protect religious freedoms. What the hell is that? What does that
He
mean?
wants to get a rock. He feels like he has a right to a rock. How can somebody who's a geologist
because
think that the Earth is not older
This story,
than 10,000
this
years
is
old?
a very condensed story, and it leaves a
I
lot
have a
of
necklace at home
details
that's a
out.
polished rock that's 8 million years old. Can't remember what kind of rock.
So
It's
this
really
guy,
pretty.
this story doesn't say it, but this guy gives rafting tours through the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Right. And so during his rafting tours, part of his shtick, part of what he tells people is that this was created by God. That the canyon was created by God. And that it couldn't possibly be as old as the National Park Services say because the Earth isn't that old. And he wants to prove it by grabbing some samples of rocks from the Grand
Why
Canyon.
doesn't he just grab rocks somewhere else? What the heck? Wasn't he Grand Canyon rocks for? Are they special?
Well, that's one of the arguments that the Park Service rangers are saying. There's, the same rocks that you can find down there, you can find over there on that side of the
just
desert.
cross the road, chicken.
That's pretty good.
Why did the chicken cross the road? To get a rock.
So I was looking.
I think the real question is, what is the Grand Canyon hiding?
Yeah, that's true. It's probably a big conspiracy theory that the Grand
Yeah.
Canyon's thought up.
We need an
and
independent
it's working with
investigation.
the sun, I think, and the moon. And when they're doing that sort of, the moon traveling around us kind of thing and causing earthquakes and stuff.
Whoa. You sound crazy.
Yeah, I sound like the beginning of our show, don't I?
I'm just talking about the Grand Canyon covering up this whole evolutionary conspiracy that the Earth is millions of years old when it's really only,
6,000 years old.
6,000, yeah.
The biblical explanation, Ben, for how the canyon formed is actually quite simple.
Okay.
Well,
the basement layers,
it's the Bible. It all just makes perfect sense.
consisting of
Immaculate
granites
conception and whatnot. Yes.
and
please.
metamorphic rocks, were formed on day 3 of the creation week. Some sedimentary.
When did God rest again?
At the 7th or 8th day, I think.
He was busy
other
making
layers
rocks on that
deposited on those rocks late in the creation week and during the pre-flood period. The horizontal sedimentary layers were then deposited over all the other rocks by the waters of the global flood described in Genesis 7:8.
Yes.
I don't know.
That
Ask me.
Noah collected 2 of each animal species in the entire planet and put them on a boat.
Once the flood waters receded, the recently placed layers of sediment continued to
laughing
harden
about?
into rock. As the flood waters receded, the uplifted plateau acted like a dam wall, trapping the waters behind it. In a subsequent catastrophic event, the earthen dam ruptured, releasing a barrage of water that carved the
And then
canyon.
the dove was the one who found the land because the crow was too lazy. Remember?
Is that what it was?
I don't remember.
Maybe we're just in a big pressure cooker, and the Grand Canyon was in a pressure cooker, and that's why it seems older, but it's not.
479-1080.
This is the most ridiculous whatnot, but hey. Seriously? I'm going to look. Okay.
The Bible is 6,000 years old. Grand Canyon could not have formed millions of years ago. The layers, fossils, and other natural wonders of the Grand Canyon confirm that the Earth was transformed from its original state by a world-altering catastrophe and its after effects. That catastrophe was a global flood, as recorded in the Scripture.
Okay.
So,
well, people can believe stuff that gets written by people that wrote it, whatever, a couple thousand years ago or whatnot. But
this guy wants, what, like 50 fist-sized rocks or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Even that many? Why doesn't the Grand Canyon just give them these rocks and shut them up?
That's what I say, too.
Unless they have something to hide.
I mean, but one of the requirements they have is that, you have to have the proper credentials. You have to have a legitimate study.
Uh-huh.
Rocks have been sampled for this plenty of time. There's plenty of recorded data out there. Just go find the data somewhere else. You don't need to take more rocks from the national park.
I mean, isn't the point of science that you're delving into some new territory that hasn't been explored before?
It has been explored before. There's people have already tested these things, these rocks, Ben.
I'm just saying, I don't see how the Grand Canyon can say, his scientific study isn't legit. If it's something new, then that's science. No one else has done
apparently
it before.
this is a long-running argument.
Feud or argument?
Yeah, because creationists say the Grand Canyon can't possibly be millions of years old. Hello, because it's only 6,000 years old. That's impossible. So their explanation for the carving of the Grand Canyon was, again, that the flood waters built up. Something happened, that big dam that was holding it back collapsed, and that water rushing out is what caused the Grand Canyon, which is ridiculous. That's dumb.
It is?
Well, yeah, I mean, because how many days is that going to last? That flood, imagine a dam busting. How long is that going to... That's not going to carve
wasn't enough water to cover the entire Earth?
Do you know how long it takes for water just to try to power its way through a stone? Just a little stone?
Maybe it was holy water.
I know.
Oh, you think that's the difference?
Yeah, maybe it was immaculate water and it carved stone faster.
Immaculate. It never got impregnated and it was immaculate.
479-1080.
No, that's not it.
What was
that
conversation?
That's immaculate conception. Sorry. I'm just having some fun.
Let's see. I'm not going to...
No offense, people.
What did the other person say? Anointed water or...
Anointed, I think. Anointed, but
let me see.
Isn't it an herb thing?
This is...
Holy water?
I'm just saying.
That was sent into the
maybe
text message.
It was water that was imbued
immaculate
with the power. Yes.
Okay.
It was immaculate water, and it carved the Grand Canyon quicker because it wasn't pregnant.
479-1080 DM at ksco.com. Okay. I'm done with that. Let's see who's on the phone lines. Troy, Scotts Valley, you're in the air.
You should never take my call. Hey, Dave, how you doing? But I really want to talk to Drea. I have a question for Drea.
Hey, Troy, what's up?
It's going good, Drea. How are you doing?
Just fine.
I noticed every time that, I know you're on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that Billy Sunshine's got to stick his nose into your business and call up and try and commandeer the show like he's there. But I want you to, you listen to the show when you're not on, right?
When I'm what?
Why would you do that?
When you're not on, you listen to the show on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You have Kevin on Monday, you have Billy on Wednesday, and you have Wes, who I really love. Wes is really smart. So on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I want to know. I want you to give
I don't. Okay, go ahead. Test me, Troy.
No,
I'm probably going to fail.
No, rate these guys on a scale of 1 to 10 on the stars. Kevin, Billy Sunshine, and Wes.
I can't actually because I haven't listened all that much where I can do that. I've listened in on occasion, but usually I'm not at a radio at that time.
Well, give Billy Sunshine a 2, would you?
Okay.
That's all I'm asking. All right,
I
bye.
like Billy. Billy's okay. I know he riles people up, but he's harmless.
Thank you for your call, Troy. 479-1080.
Isn't he harmless, Billy? Just a lot of yabber. Yabber? No? Dave? Well, we're going to give him to call in and defend it? Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, he likes his meat pizza. Should we take another call?
By the way, Billy
meat pizza
did call up, and I don't know if he was actually trying to make a point or just torture us with more food, but he was saying Like when he makes meatballs, he uses beef and pork. So there are times when
where you could hide pork in and you wouldn't know it, or not hide it, but it could be mixed in together.
Yeah, you could just use them both, and you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference when you eat a meatball.
See, so that's how you could eat pork and not know you're eating pork. Plane over.
Check this out. 2 Chinese fighter jets intercept U.S. plane over East China Sea.
When was this?
I guess today. 2 Chinese fighter jets intercepted a U.S. sniffer plane over the East China Sea.
Okay.
Sniffer planes sniff the atmosphere for signs of nuclear activity.
Ooh.
It was conducting a routine mission Wednesday in international airspace over the East China Sea when 2 Chinese fighter craft intercepted it. The officials wouldn't say whether the confrontation was considered unsafe, but they said the crew of the U.S. plane described it as unprofessional. The U.S. plane was operating in accordance with international law, they said. Officials say the matter was being addressed with China through appropriate diplomatic channels.
Oh, excellent. So we're going to rile more people up. I wonder how many more countries we can rile up before this year's over.
Let's head out to the phone lines and see who's up next. It is Mike calling from Scotts Valley. You're in the air.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, Mike. What's up?
Hey, just back to the Noah and the Ark. You know, if you actually read in the Bible, it actually talks about what happened, that the earth was actually watered by percolation from the table water of the earth. It would actually perk up, and the ground would get watered that way. But at a certain point in time, it actually records that the upper canopy of the atmosphere broke loose like a water breaking. And I don't know if you've ever seen some of the footage documented with the tremendous power, hydraulic power of great volumes of water.
Mm-hmm.
It can move. It can move mineral landmass in an incredible way that would just make your jaw drop.
But does it carve? It doesn't carve, right? It just pushes its way through. No.
Oh, rapid erosion. Oh, it can carve. Oh yeah, it's incredible. It's amazing. If you ever see some documentation on whole land masses getting canyonized by water, but that we're talking about an event, if you can imagine it, where the groundwater perked up and the upper canopy broke loose, and there were many that were actually probably laughing at Noah. If you can fathom somebody actually building an ark, they were laughing at him, but I would have much rather been with Noah in the ark than those who were laughing with him on the outside when that upper canopy broke loose.
What do you mean the upper canopy, Mike? Explain that to me.
Well, the upper canopy of the atmosphere, like we get rain now.
Right.
Okay.
What do you mean it broke loose, though?
It just the humidity in the atmosphere just released in a tumult. It all happened in a concentrated period of time.
Okay.
So if you were to at a concentrated period of time, if you were to imagine the earth perking up like how it floods after it rains, and the tremendous amount of humidity in the atmosphere dropping on the earth, and as it records, it happened for a concentrated period of days. It's 40 days, 40 nights. It would be tremendous hydraulic pressure, which landmass would be affected in an incredible way with that movement. But just to say, I would have much rather been one of however many were in the ark with Noah than those who were laughing on the outside when those waters broke loose. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for the call, Mike.
So it's like the
I don't
Earth
believe
went
it, though.
through a 40-day and 40-night bucket challenge.
You know what? I almost do believe it.
Oh, do you? I
Okay,
don't
so here's the part of me before, let's say it was last year. I would say, oh, that's ridiculous, dude. You know.
And with all that rain we had?
And then we have all that rain, and can you imagine 40 days and 40 nights of that? Holy moly.
It'd probably create a Grand Canyon.
In 20 minutes. No, in 40 days.
479-1080 DM at KSL.com.
Another one of our callers called up to say that guy is 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
And
About
what he
what?
is, with the
water
process,
bubbled up out of the ground?
Well,
Yeah,
he's saying no about the canopy breaking.
Okay.
And he's saying that process is global warming.
What?
Yeah, he said what he's talking about, the canopy he's talking about is the ozone layer.
Ah, okay. Right. Okay. One of the layers of the atmosphere.
But it broke loose. So doesn't that just mean it started raining?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
So this is one of my quotes I found, or I think I heard this somewhere.
Is this the Flight 1080 Science Hour?
Yes.
I don't know. No.
This is a quote from David Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Back when the Bible was written, then edited, then rewritten, then rewritten, then re-edited, then translated from dead languages, then
You're telling me God had to
retranslated,
use
then
spell check?
edited, then rewritten, then given to kings for them to take their favorite parts, then rewritten, then translated again, then given to the Pope for him to approve, then rewritten, then edited again, then rewritten again, all based on stories that were told orally 30 to 90 years after they happened to people who didn't know how to write. So
there might be a few mistakes there.
I don't know. It's, you got Aesop's Fable. I don't know. But I'm not classically religious, so I don't.
Nor am I.
So I don't have it organized.
Was
Doesn't
that
mean
good
I'm not
English?
spiritual. That was excellent.
Yes, thank you.
Doesn't mean I'm not that nobody's asking me. I don't know why I'm getting all confessional, but yeah. But yeah, I don't, if it's not, evolution and it's got to make a little sense to me in some sort of logic. But that's me. But I'm totally accepting of other people's beliefs as long as I don't have to believe them myself. So
I like that.
there we go.
Let's see who's on line 3. Who do you know is on line 3?
I don't know.
Okay,
Ben's been on phone
mystery
patrol.
guest.
Mystery guest.
Well, line
Welcome.
3, you're going to hear it, and then you're going to be on the air.
It's going to be you.
You're in the air.
Hey, Jim, Seaside.
Hey, Jim.
Oh, I did take it. I'm sorry, Jim. I wrote it down and everything.
About the Great Flood. You know, there's all that stuff about the rain for 40 days, 40 nights. I don't doubt that. We also had the final melting phase of the glaciers in Europe. And I believe what happened, and actually it's scientific, was the breaking of the Bosphorus. Have you heard of the Bosphorus?
No, I think you're going to tell us, though, Jim.
Well, it's the isthmus of land in Turkey at Constantinople, which broke. And the Mediterranean Sea, 2,000 miles long, something like that, was, hundreds of meters higher than the Black Sea. And it flooded in there, and almost everybody back then, the religious and the kings and everybody, wrote about it, including Gilgamesh, which caused a huge flood it flooded Turkey, Iran, all of Syria, all of that area back there, and Mount Ararat is right in the line of that. So it's not completely impossible. It was supposed to have happened 7,000 to 9,000 years ago. So I don't know where the 6,000 came in.
Well, they actually believe that the Earth has only existed for that long, isn't that right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not even a matter
that.
of the forming of the Grand Canyon. This guy believes that the Earth isn't older than 6,000 years. Like,
who said
not
that?
at all.
I've never read that in the Bible.
Oh, some guy.
I don't know if it says it in the Bible.
Some guy who wants to take rocks out of the Grand Canyon. The guy who wants to take rocks out of the Grand Canyon.
It was their known world, which was the Middle East. They didn't even know about the Southern Africa or North America, anything like that. They were talking about the world they knew.
Yeah,
and
makes sense to me.
it did flood. Yeah, so there you are. Look up Bosphorus. It's a pretty interesting read. Bosphorus.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for the call, Jim. 479-1080.
See, Bosphorus.
DM at KSCO.
See, if I didn't know how to spell, I couldn't find it, Ben, because I was spelling it wrong. Bosphorus with a PH.
Didn't you
comes
have
from the
to-
Greek.
Didn't you ask him how to spell it, though?
I know, for that reason, because I was looking before and I couldn't find it. So it was much easier. Yeah.
Well, hopefully there will always be someone for me to ask how to spell.
Yes, this is true. And if not, you just won't know how to spell it. And
But
just get
So
on
what
it.
is it?
What he was saying about Gilgamesh, which I think is like the first ever written story that was found or recovered. That story, the story of Gilgamesh, tells of a giant flood.
Yeah, and Dave, here you'll like this.
All right.
The brief sensation caused by Ryan and Pittman, this is the people who did some studies apparently, has turned into an ongoing controversy. The flood hypothesis hinges on the geomorphology of the Bosphorus since the end of the glacial age, which is what Jim was talking about. The Black Sea area has been sealed off and reconnected numerous times during the last 500,000 years.
Oh.
So 500,000 years, a little longer than 6,000. But Yeah, there's apparently a hypothesis that the Black Sea deluge is a hypothesized catastrophic rise in the level of the Black Sea in about 5600 BC from waters from the Mediterranean Sea breaching a sill in the Bosphorus Strait.
How could the breaching of the Black Sea or the Mediterranean Sea or the Red Sea or any of those seas across the world affect the Grand Canyon?
Well, we're not looking for logic here, but we're looking for behind the why the floods that were written about in the first place.
It's called faith, Ben. It doesn't have to make sense. You just have to believe.
Believe I
4791080.
So does that mean I should go jump off the roof because I can believe I can fly? Anyway, everybody be safe. Have a great weekend. So we're going to Staff of Life this weekend.
Oh, that's right. What did you say?
Somebody's going to be there. Staff of Life has their anniversary party. 48 years old this Saturday.
Moly.
So go by, have some fun, bring your family.
I didn't get them anything. What do I do?
You buy yourself a bottle of champagne while you're there.
And show up?
Yeah.
It's time to party.
All right, everybody, be safe.
KSCO
Talk to you
Santa
next
Cruz.
Tuesday.
During a joint news conference today with Colombia's president. CBS's Steve Dorsey reports.
President Trump called the probe into his campaign's alleged ties to Russia a witch hunt.
There was no collusion, and everybody, even my enemies, have said there is no collusion.
Mr. Trump said the appointment of a special counselor to oversee the investigation hurts the country.